Chapter 364. Mad Southern Yi stopped now. As his voice fell, the dozen or so figures had already closed in. All of them were dressed in black, and their bodies emitted a murderous aura. Small say. The leader was an old man wearing a Taoist robe. Yichen lifted his head to look at them and realized that all of them were martial Tao masters. The leading old man was even a half-step martial venerable. Bai Hong Yu and his servant, who were initially in despair, were overjoyed when they saw him. Guardian Cheng, save me. Save us. The old man in the Taoist robe took a good look at the dead body on the rope behind Yichen. Subsequently, he took out a gold token and said in his deep voice, I'm the Heavenly Palace's left guardian, Cheng. Mad Southern Yi, you've killed too many people. Give Master Bai and the rest to me and kneel to be bound. The other party's attitude was unusually arrogant, and his tone was commanding. Yichen tightened the rope on his hand. He squinted and said extremely coldly, Heavenly Palace? What is that? Impudent. More than 10 experts behind Cheng took a step forward as soon as he said that. More than 10 terrifying suppressive auras swept toward Yichen as if they were trying to crush him. However, Yichen was unmoved. Cheng laughed coldly. The Heavenly Palace is an existence built on the heavenly ranking. There have been countless people on the heavenly ranking for so many years, so naturally, there are also countless people on the heavenly ranking. Those who are off the heavenly ranking join the Heavenly Palace. Our Heavenly Palace's duty is to suppress anyone who tries to use force to create chaos, such as people like you. Cheng Yin's eyes were filled with coldness as he spoke. If the Martial Alliance was just a civilian organization, then, in that case, the Heavenly Temple and the Dragon Soul Temple were official organizations that were under the direct jurisdiction of the country. They were also known as the Two Sharp Swords of China. Even the military couldn't intervene. He immediately accepted number one's orders. Mad Southern Yi, I'm not afraid of telling you. Cheng continued. These people in front of you were already experts of the present age before you were even born. If you don't want to die too miserably, this old man advises you not to resist and obediently follow me back to the Sky Hall to receive your punishment. Oh. Yichen gave a short response. An undisguised mockery appeared at the corner of his lips. How dare these pieces of trash attack me? Or do you think my blade isn't fast enough? I will say it one last time. Cheng Yin's face turned cold, and he snorted coldly. Release young Master Bai and the others immediately. Then kneel down and accept your punishment. Otherwise, I'll kill you without mercy. They were shocked by Yichen's ability. He was very clear. But so what? Anyone who could join the Heavenly Palace would be able to dominate the heavenly list in the outside world. Moreover, the Heavenly Palace had been researching the power of martial arts technology for the past few years. If God obstructs, slay God. If Buddha obstructs, slay Buddha. As soon as he finished speaking, Bai Hong Yu smirked in pride. Ha! Mad Southern Yi, I bet you've never thought that the Chinese government would protect me. If you dare to kill me, you'll be the entire country's enemy. That's right. Mad Southern Yi, I'm begging you. Kill me. I'm so scared. Shui Yuan Tao and Shui Dong could not stop laughing hysterically as if they were certain that Yichen would not dare to kill them. Really? Yichen was expressionless. The next moment, a golden light erupted from the rope in his hand, and the rope quickly shrank as if it had turned into a thread. Bang! Including young Master Bai and Shui Yuan Tao. The four of them exploded, their bodies directly exploding into a cloud of blood mist. Overbearing and straightforward, decisive in killing, heartless and cold, dead silence. The whole place was dead silent. At this moment, over 10 people, including Cheng widened their eyes. They looked at Yichen and the bloody mist in the air in disbelief. He really dared to kill in front of them. Doesn't this kid know that the Heavenly Palace is a supreme existence in China? How dare you? When Cheng came back to his senses, he was furious. Why wouldn't I dare? An endless ferocity flashed through Yichen's eyes. His face became extremely arrogant as he said in a powerful voice, Even the heavens and earth dare not save the person that I, Mad Southern Yi, want to kill let alone a mere heavenly palace. Meanwhile, a tyrannical aura erupted from his body. His entire person was like a real dragon soaring into the sky, looking down on the world with disdain. No one dared to look directly at him. The next moment, a terrifying aura exploded from Cheng Yin's body. It was like the Milky Way was pouring out. You deserve to die, you brat. Don't even think about leaving this place alive today. Cheng Yin's face was pale. Rage and killing intent were shooting out of his eyes as he roared in madness. Die. As soon as he was done speaking, Cheng Yin shrieked. He shrieked and soared into the air. He blasted a cannon at Yi Chun as if he wanted to shatter the world. Meanwhile, the remaining people shouted and released all of their abilities. They charged at Yi Chun one after another. A cold smirk appeared at the corner of Yi Chen's lips upon seeing that. They wanted him to let go of the people who threatened him. That was pure wishful thinking. So what if it was the heavenly palace? Even if the Emperor of Heaven was here, Yi Chun would still kill him. A dragon had a reverse scale, and one would definitely die if one touched it. Stop, all of you! At that moment, another furious shout came from outside. Subsequently, 5 people in yellow clothes charged over at high speed. The leader was a valiant lady. She was less than 30 years old, and there was an experienced aura all over her body. Those people protected Yi Chun behind them intentionally or unintentionally. Cheng Yin's expression changed when he saw who it was. Eventually, he retracted his fist. His expression was extremely grim, as if he was afraid. Commander Liang, what's the meaning of this? Are you trying to stop the heavenly palace? Dragon Soul? Yi Chun frowned slightly. First, it was the heavenly palace and then the Dragon Soul. He merely wanted to kill a few people today. Never had he thought that he would attract these two organizations. Liang said coldly, facing Cheng Yin's annoyance. Liang said coldly, the Dragon King wants to see this person. What? Cheng Yin's expression changed. He was shocked. The Dragon King wants to see this man? How is that possible? I don't believe it. The two most mysterious people in China were none other than the Heavenly Palace's Palace Master, Guan Shangyue, and the Dragon Soul's Dragon King. The former had a name, at least, while the latter's name was unknown. Nobody knew his gender, age, appearance, or whereabouts. However, the Dragon King, who had not appeared for a long time, wanted to protect Yi Chun. How could he not be shocked? It's up to you whether you want to believe it or not. No matter what, the Dragon Soul is protecting this man. Do as you see fit. Li Ying's pretty face turned cold as she said rudely, let's see who's the real deal then. Cheng Yin was enraged to see how overbearing she was. Your Dragon Soul and our Heavenly Palace have been fighting nonstop throughout the years. We can use this opportunity to end it today. Just when Li Ying was going to fight, Yi Chun, who had been quiet all this while, suddenly said, sure, you guys can fight, but can you ask for my opinion? Shut up. Li Ying glared at him angrily. You're making the Dragon Soul fight for you. You should be happy about that. Yi Chun shook his head lightly and said indifferently, back off, you guys. This is my business. I don't need you to be a busybody. Chapter 365. Zhang Daniu appeared to be in slight disbelief upon hearing what Yi Chun said. Be Brother Chun, you're taking me in as your disciple? He was not the only one. Even Huang Fuguwei and Huang Pei, who were standing aside, were stunned. They knew about Yi Chun's ability. The Su family was destroyed because of him, while the Shui family was killed by him earlier. Now, he was taking Zhang Daniu in as his disciple? Yi Chun chuckled softly. Of course, you're just a registered disciple. You can't follow my path, but you can learn medical skills. He and Zhang Daniu were fated. Moreover, Zhang Daniu did not change his principles even after being captured by Shui Dong. Yi Chun admired him for that. Therefore, Yi Chun decided to give him an opportunity. However, Zhang Daniu was different from Yang Tian. Yang Tian could still accept some tests and walk on the path of cultivation, but Zhang Daniu was honest and sincere. With such a character, he was the most suitable person to learn medical skills and practice medicine to help the people. Medical skills? Huang Pei was rather disappointed when she snapped back to her senses. Boss, why don't you just take Brother Daniu as your official disciple? It'll be best if you teach him everything you know. To her, medical skills were useless. They could not compare to the purest strength of punching flesh. That way, Zhang Dainiu could protect her in the future. Huang Fugui thought the same as her. Yichen did not mind. He looked at Zhang Dainiu quietly. Dainiu, you can think about it. Brother Chun, I am willing. Zhang Dainiu was excited. He knelt before Yichen as soon as he was done speaking and kowtowed loudly. Zhang Dainiu greets master. Come in with me. Yichen took the lead and walked into the house. Over 10 minutes later, the duo walked out. Yichen glanced at Zhang Dainiu, who looked excited. Do you remember what I told you? I do, Zhang Dainiu said in a muffled voice. Huang Fugui and Huang Pei were suspicious when they saw how mysterious the duo was. Huang Fugui could not help but ask, Boss, did you teach him your medical skills so soon? He was in slight disbelief and was even disappointed. To him, medical skills have been passed down for thousands of years. It might not be enough, even if he spent his entire life to learn it. However, Yichen only called Zhang Dainiu in for over 10 minutes. It was like child's play. Yichen knew that he did not believe him, so he said while smiling, Dainiu, come and take a look at your future father-in-law. Father-in-law, give me your hand. Zhang Dainiu nodded obediently. Don't call me father-in-law. Huang Fugui glared at him, but he extended his left hand over to Yichen anyway. However, he had a disapproving expression on his face. He only knew a little about medicine. He knew very well whether he was sick or not. Could Zhang Dainiu see through him? Zhang Dainiu looked at him for a while and said weakly, Father-in-law, do you have severe constipation and hemorrhoids? As soon as he said that, Huang Fugui's face changed. How did you know? He asked awkwardly. He had hemorrhoids for thousands of years. He had it before Huang Pei was born. All these years, he had gone to the hospital for countless surgeries and taken a lot of traditional Chinese medicine, but it didn't work. I saw it with the medical skill that my master taught me. Zhang Dainiu scratched his head. It's not difficult to treat it. You'll need 2 grams of fritillary, 3 grams of platycodon, 4 grams of fishtail, and some pig's mouth. Boil it into a bowl of water. Take the soup and apply the herbal residue. You'll be fine in less than half a month. Huang Fugui was shocked. Why, you old Huang, do you believe me now? Yichen chuckled softly. Dainiu, I'll make the decision today. I'll take it as your engagement with Huang Pei. Treat this as a gift from me. He placed a bank card that was worth 10 million yuan on the table. He then left elegantly. I want to see old Chun. Half an hour later, Yichen appeared at the entrance of the Beijing military base. 2 guards were on duty, stopped him. One of them said expressionlessly, Old Chen doesn't see outsiders. Please leave. Really? Yichen smiled lightly. Under the coverage of his divine consciousness, he sensed that old Chun was looking in his direction from the house. Was he not seeing him, or was he unwilling to see him? He was here to ask for an explanation today. Shang Santian had laid their hands on his family so blatantly. Where was the country? Although he had resolved the issue, he was still upset. What if I insist on seeing him? Yichen remained smiling, but his eyes were rather cold. Then, don't blame us for being rude. The duo took a step forward at the same time. Let him in. At that moment, an old voice came from the courtyard. The duo then retreated aside. Yichen walked in. Old Chun was writing with a brush. It was the word country. However, the brush was no longer as bold and domineering as before. Instead, there was a hint of loneliness. He was old. Yichen realized that he had aged a lot since they parted not long ago. The hero was past his prime. Qin Xiaotian stood next to him like a tower. Old Chun said without even turning his head, Tell me what you want. Old Chun, shouldn't you guys give me an explanation? Yichen went straight to the point. Old Chun turned his head to look at him. What explanation do you want? Are you blaming us for not helping you? Are you blaming us for watching your family fall into danger? Yichen acquiesced. Old Chun said in a deep voice, Then tell me, the Xue family is also a Chinese citizen. Even if there are rats in the Xue family, there's still some people who have no bad records. Should we have stopped you when you killed them? Yichen was silent. Mad Southern Yi, if I count carefully, there must be at least 800 people who have died in your hands in the past 6 months. Am I right? Old Chin's eyes were burning. You hate Shang Santian because it's not good for you. However, in the eyes of the people you killed, what's the difference between you and the people for Shang Santian? Tell me. So, Old Chen wants to fight me too? Yi Chen asked. Yi Chen asked. Qin Xiaodian, who was standing aside, looked at Yi Chen with his guard up. No. Old Chen shook his head lightly, his expression rather complicated. I've thought about a lot these days. As the saying goes, scholars break the law with their literature, while heroes break the law with their martial arts. You cultivators should be in charge of the matters between cultivators. Meanwhile, the military only needs to do our job. Qin Xiaotian could not help but say, Old Chen wanted to save your family, but the higher-ups didn't allow it. Shut up. Old Chen scolded. Qin Xiaotian hesitated to speak. Yi Chen came to a realization and said while smiling, I understand now. Don't worry. No matter what happens from now on, I, Yi Chen, have nothing to do with the military. He placed the Firearms Division's chief instructor's ID on the table after saying that and turned around to leave. You've offended the Heavenly Palace. Let me give you a piece of advice. It's best that you don't have too much conflict with the Heavenly Palace. Otherwise, the consequences will be unimaginable. Old Chen reminded after some hesitation. Yi Chen stopped walking and said without even turning his head, If the Heavenly Palace dares to go against me again, I won't hold back anymore. Chapter 366. At the Qi Medicine Hall in Beijing, Yi Chen saw Huang Fei tending to Zhang Dainiu's wound as soon as he entered the door. Zhang Dainiu sat obediently and allowed Huang Fei to tend to him. His lips were swollen and the blood had dried. Zhang Dainiu stood up as soon as he saw Yi Chen. Zhang Dainiu wanted to stand up. Brother Chen, I'm tending to your wound. Why are you moving? Sit still. Huang Fei glared at him and scolded angrily. She ignored Yi Chen. Yi Chen could sense the intense resentment from her, even from far away. He was not mad and walked over while smiling. Let me do it. Do you know how to treat illnesses? Huang Fei said angrily. She was filled with resentment. At the end of the day, Yi Chen was the reason why the three of them were in trouble earlier. Trust me. Yi Chen smiled and passed a body-strengthening pill to Zhang Dainiu. Here, Dainiu, eat this. You'll be fine after you eat it. Brother Dainiu, don't eat it, Huang Fei reminded him by instinct. Never had she thought that Zhang Dainiu would swallow it after taking it over. He grinned and said in a deep voice, I trust you, Brother Chen. As he grinned, he touched his wound. He was in so much pain that he inhaled sharply. The wound that had just healed started bleeding again. The next moment, a red glow was released from his body, and the bruises and wounds on his lips were healed. Huang Pei and Zhang Dainiu were dumbfounded when they saw that. Brother Dainiu, why you're fine now? Huang Fei stammered in excitement. That was just too magical. Hee, I feel much better now. Thank you, Brother Chen. Zhang Dainiu rubbed his head and chuckled. He looked at Yi Chen in admiration. Brother Chen, was that an immortal pill that you gave me earlier? I guess so. Yi Chen nodded. That won't do. My life is cheap. It's such a waste of Brother Chen's immortal pill. Zhang Dainiu extended his finger into his mouth and attempted to spit it out. Yi Chen was in between tears and laughter. However, he was secretly touched. Don't worry. I still have a lot. I won't waste it. What a pure and innocent heart. Although Zhang Dainiu looked silly and his name was rustic, he had a pure heart, which was rare in this materialistic world. At that moment, Huang Fugue walked out with a bag. He was stunned to see Yi Chen. Then he said, Boss, you're back. Old Huang, are you guys leaving? Yi Chen asked. Hearing this, I've thought about it. I've decided to bring Fei Fei back to our hometown. Beijing isn't suitable for us. Huang Fugue sighed. After experiencing what happened before, he was really scared. He also realized that it was better for people like him, who had no ability and no background, to be more ordinary. All right, I respect you. Yi Chen was rather disappointed. Before this, he planned to give the Qi Medicine Hall to Huang Fugue. Never had he thought that Huang Fugue would be leaving. However, since it was Huang Fugue's opinion, he could only respect it. After thinking about it, Yi Chen took out a bank card and passed it to Huang Fugue. There's 10 million yuan in here. The password is the last 6 digits of the card number. Consider my apology. No, you can't. To his surprise, Huang Fugue shook his head hard. I admit that I like money, but you've been nice to me and my daughter ever since I came to the store. Moreover, if you didn't save us earlier, we might have been dead. How can I take your money? Dad, are we going back? What about Brother Daniel? Huang Pei was a little reluctant. Huang Fugue had never told her before this. Huang Fugue said angrily, Daniel is a living man. Of course, he should decide what to do. But I promised Brother Daniel that I'll spend the rest of my life with him. Huang Pei's cheeks were blushing. She buried her head, and her voice was as soft as a mosquito. Huang Fugue was shocked. What did you say? Why you've fallen for the silly boy? Huang Pei nodded shyly. Zhang Daniel's cheeks were as red as a monkey's, but, Daniel, didn't you say that your mother introduced you to someone in the village? Yichen could not help but laugh in surprise. Never had he thought that Huang Pei would be with Zhang Daniel. Zhang Daniel stammered, so I ran away with a contractor in town. She even brought the 30,000 yuan betrothal gift that my family gave her. Yichen was speechless. I won't agree to it, Huang Fugue suddenly shouted. He said with his face flushed, I won't agree to anything between the two of you. Although he thought that Zhang Daniel was great, Zhang Daniel was not his son-in-law candidate. However, Zhang Daniel was not the son-in-law candidate in his mind. Zhang Daniel was a fool who did not have any education or money. What was the use of having a good personality? Even his basic survival ability was a problem. Zhang Daniel's expression turned grim when he heard that. He said after some hesitation, father-in-law, don't worry. I'll take good care of Fei Fei. Don't worry, my guess, Huang Fugue said angrily. You've taken care of my daughter for 20 years, just like that. How can I not worry? Huang Pei seemed to know that he would not agree to it. So she said without hesitation, it doesn't matter even if you don't agree to it. What's done is done between Brother Daniel and me. What did you say? Huang Fugue thought he heard it wrong. I said that Brother Daniel and I have done what we should and what we shouldn't, Huang Pei said in an extremely stubborn manner. On a night of thunder and lightning, Zhang Daniel and Huang Pei drank a little too much while eating barbecue on their way back from the movies. Then, they were muddle-headed and everything happened naturally. Huang Fugue had gone to Jinbei City to get some medicine back then, so he had no idea. Daniel, tell me, is what Fei Fei said true? Huang Fugue panted and looked at Zhang Daniel with his bloodshot eyes. Zhang Daniel scratched his head and admitted to it. In the next second, Huang Fugue ran into the house. Huang Fugue turned around and dashed into the house. He chased after Zhang Daniel with a bone-paring knife in his hand. His face turned green. Zhang Daniel, you're really something. I thought you were an honest person, but I didn't expect that I would skin you alive. Zhang Daniel and Huang Pei were completely stunned. Seeing that the knife was going to land on Zhang Daniel, Yichen grabbed it from behind all of a sudden. He said to Huang Fugue while looking at him, Old Huang, since they're interested in each other and they've done what they shouldn't, just give them what they want. Yichen paused as he spoke to this point. Of course, if you think that Daniel has no money and that he's poor, I'll give him the 10 million yuan in my card. Huang Fugue sat down on a chair and said with a complicated expression, Boss, the reason why I don't agree to the two of them being together is because Daniel has no skills. If Fei Fei were to be with him, she would suffer a lot. This 10 million yuan of yours is nothing. It won't help Daniel prove his worth at all. I'll look down on him even more. Zhang Daniel shook his head too. He did not want it no matter what. That's easy. Yichen chuckled softly and said calmly while looking at Zhang Daniel. Daniel, are you willing to be my disciple? Do you want to learn medicine? Do you want to be a miracle doctor that everyone respects? P.S. Today's update for the 3rd chapter has been completed. Thank you for your support. There'll be an update in the middle of the month. I'm saving the draft. Please vote for it. Chapter 367. When little Yang Hao was kissing Meng Meng, Yang Tian, who was standing aside, was stunned. Yang Tian, who was standing aside, was also stunned. He could not help but cough in the face of Yichen's roar. Clearly, he was shocked by his son's action. Seeing that his daughter was still acting as if nothing had happened, Yichen picked her up and said in all seriousness with a straight face, My dear, Promise me that you won't let anyone kiss you in the future apart from Daddy, Mommy, Grandpa, and Grandma. Why, Daddy? Meng Meng looked confused. Yichen was speechless at that moment. He had no idea how to explain himself. So he said, no matter what, just promise me. You won't let anyone kiss you, especially a boy. Daddy, what will happen if I kiss you? Meng Meng's eyes were wide open. If a boy kisses you, you'll be abducted by him. You won't be able to see Daddy and Mommy by then, Yichen said earnestly. Meng Meng hugged his neck tightly upon hearing that and shook her head like a rattle drum. No, I don't want to leave Daddy and Mommy. Daddy, don't worry. I'll beat the sh*t out of whoever dares to kiss me in the future. Yang Tian's face turned green as soon as he said that. Yang Tian's face instantly turned green, and he hurriedly carried his son, little Yang Hao, over and lectured him in various ways. Obviously, he was shocked by Meng Meng's words. Little Yang Hao's face fell, looking wronged. Yichen then put his daughter down and got the two little girls to continue playing. He walked into the villa's cultivation room after giving Yang Tian a look. Old Yi, why did you call me here? Yang Tian was confused. He seemed to have recalled something and retreated a few steps back immediately. Are you trying to KO me because my son kissed your daughter? What are you thinking? Yichen said angrily, I've thought about it. It might not be peaceful from now on, so I might as well get you on Dao as soon as possible. Sure. Yang Tian was so excited that he was speechless. In reality, he had been thinking about getting Yichen to teach him cultivation for the past few days. However, he was too embarrassed to ask after what happened to Shui Feng and the rest. Since Yichen took the initiative to suggest it, it would be great. Sit with your legs crossed, Yichen instructed. After Yang Tian sat with his legs crossed, he pointed between his brows. A powerful memory flowed into his head. Yang Tian's reaction was much worse than Lin Tai's. He screamed and struggled, clearly unable to withstand the impact of the memory tide. This was also related to one's personality and experience. A child from a poor family would not care about cutting his hand while cutting grass. A child from a rich family would accidentally cut his hand while peeling an apple. When he was sent to the hospital, the doctor would say, "Luckily you came in time, otherwise the wound would have healed." Hold on. If you can't even endure this bit of pain, there's no need to talk about anything else. Yichen did not move and shouted coldly. The blood-curdling screams lasted for more than half an hour before it stopped, while Yang Tian lay on the ground like a pile of mud. Too useless. Yichen was a little disappointed. Subsequently, he said, "Close your eyes and sense if there's anything in your head." Old Yi, there seems to be a cultivation method in my mind. Yang Tian said in shock, "What is it called? Divine Demon Tyrant Body Art." Not bad. Yichen nodded. It's the Divine Demon Body technique. Cultivate it from now on. Remember not to slack off. At the beginning of the birth of the world, gods and devils were born. These people were born with innate bodies, and their strength could move mountains and fill seas and destroy stars when they were young. They were blessed by the heavens and could be said to be the favored children of fate. Meanwhile, the celestial demon body technique was modified by Yichen based on the physique of the celestial demon in his past life. At that time, he had 18 celestial demon generals under him who cultivated the celestial demon body technique. There was a total of 9 stages. Only when one cultivated to the 9th stage would they be able to kill gods and Buddhas who stood in their way. Compared to the Azura heaven-suppressing kill that Lin Tai cultivated, the demonic god tyrant body technique focused on defense in the early stages. Its offensive power was not as strong as the Azura heaven-suppressing kill. It was tailor-made for Lin Tai. After saying this, Yichen took out a body-strengthening pill and a bottle of chi-amassing pills and gave them to Yang Tian. These are body-strengthening pills. They can train your physique. The ones in the bottle are chi-amassing pills. They can speed up your cultivation. Take one every 3 days. Come to me if it's not enough. Old Yi, you're so nice to me. How should I repay you? Yang Tian's eyes turned red. He was rather touched. In the next second, he smirked. Why don't I wash myself and come to your room tonight? Get lost. Yichen resisted the urge to slap him and said, I'll give you a month. If you can't break through to beginner stage spirit assembly, buy a piece of tofu and kill yourself. He walked out of the cultivation room after saying that. Back then, Lin Tai broke through to beginner stage spirit assembly in less than a month. Yang Tian's talent was slightly better than Lin Tai's, so 1 month was considered a long time for Yi Chun. In the next few days, Yi Chun guided Yang Tian's cultivation while discussing with Lin Tai how to elevate the Star Pavilion's members' abilities. Old Yi, is the Star Pavilion looking for people? Yang Tian suddenly asked. When I went back to my hometown to pick Xiao Hao up, I had an old cousin who wanted to work for me in the city. I didn't agree. Your cousin? Yi Chun frowned. Yang Tian nodded and said, that's right. His name is Yang Wusong. My cousin doesn't come from a wealthy family, but he eats a lot. He's still single until now. However, he's very strong. I saw him lift the 2 stone lions in front of the village government with my own eyes. Are you sure he hasn't cultivated before? Yi Chun was rather surprised. A stone lion weighed at least 250 kilograms. Yang Wusong was rather talented to be able to lift them with 1 hand and 1 in each hand. I swear that he definitely hasn't. Yang Tian swore. If he had cultivated before, he wouldn't be single when he's almost 30. Bring him to me later and let me meet him. Yi Chun's phone rang at that moment. He picked it up and saw that it was old Master Gu. Mr. Yi, I've found the whereabouts of the 9-section soul herb that you asked me to look for. I heard that it appeared in an auction in Hong Kong. I'll send you the photo now. Soon, Yi Chun received the photo. There was a burning desire in his eyes. It really was the 9-section soul herb. It was at least 100 years old. Yi Chun said gratefully, Sure, old master. Thank you. You're welcome, Mr. Yi. The auction will be held in 3 days. Would you like to take a plane or a boat? Old Master Gu asked. I'll take a boat, Yi Chun said without even thinking about it. Yi Chun said without even thinking about it. He had lived for thousands of years and had never taken a ship before. He could experience it this time. Sure, I'll arrange it for you right away. Old Master Gu hung up the phone immediately. Soon, Yao Bing from the Spiritual Medicine Mountain and Yu Shasha from the Murong clan in Ganzhou called. They told Yi Chun about the auction in Hong Kong almost at the same time. The 3 families had the same story. Then the news was real. There was hope for the Patriarch of Hell to recover. Chapter 368. The next afternoon, Small Say, under the escort of his family, Yang Tian and Lin Tai, Yi Chun arrived at the Tianan coastal port. Meng Meng grabbed the corner of his clothes tightly and said reluctantly, Daddy, can I go with you? Be good, Meng Meng. I'm going to do something serious. I'll be back soon. Su Yuhan stroked the little girl's hair and comforted her. Daddy, remember to bring me good food. The little girl stuck her tongue out and let go of him. She returned to Su Yuhan's embrace. Remember to come back early. Su Yuhan rolled her eyes at Yi Chun while carrying the child. Everyone in the family knew why Yi Chun was going to Hong Kong. The Patriarch of Hell was dying, and he was counting on the 9-section soul herb to keep him alive. Don't worry. I'll be back soon. Yi Chun walked over and hugged her. He whispered into her ear, If you have nothing to do these few days, you can come to my company to help. You must get Iron Tower with you. Most importantly, wait for me at home after you've washed up. Bah! Su Yuhan blushed and said angrily, I heard that there are many pretty girls in Hong Kong. If I find out that you're flirting outside, don't even think about getting into my bed when you come back. The thought of a certain someone's madness last night. She felt weak all over. Yi Chun was in between tears and laughter when he heard that. He only boarded the boat under everyone's gaze after making all sorts of promises. A passenger ship was sailing from Tianan Port to Zhongport. Because it was in time for the National Day, the tickets for the passenger ship were almost sold out half a month ago, especially the real cabin, which was sold out. Yi Chun did not mind. He got old Master Gu to book a 4th-class cabin for him. After all, it would only take less than 3 hours to get from Tianan Port to Hong Kong. Old Master Gu had even contacted the Fong family in Hong Kong to pick him up at the Zhonggang Pier. It was said that this Fong family was the family of Gu Shaoquan's wife, Fong Yuan. The passenger ship was divided into 2 floors. As soon as Yi Chun boarded, he saw that the deck was filled with people. Everyone had joy written all over their faces as they took pictures. Yichen watched for a while until the broadcasting room announced that they were ready to depart. He then walked into the cabin and sat down in his seat. He took out a Tao Te Ching that he had bought along the way and began reading. Not long after, he heard a clear voice. "Sir, I'm sorry to disturb you. You seem to be sitting in my seat." Yichen looked up. He saw a woman in a light yellow dress standing in front of him. The woman was wearing a pair of sunglasses and had a very peaceful aura. Behind him stood a pot-bellied middle-aged man in a suit and leather shoes. However, the middle-aged man's gaze always lingered on the woman. "My apologies." Yichen looked at the ticket and the seat number. Subsequently, he stood up and exchanged seats with her. He sat in the middle of the 3 seats. "Thank you." After the lady sat down, she removed her sunglasses, revealing an extremely delicate, pretty face. She extended her hand to Yichen. "Let's get to know each other. My name is Dai Shiyu." Yichen's expression remained calm as he said coldly. He then buried his head and proceeded to read the Tao Te Ching in his hand. Instead, the middle-aged man sitting on the outermost seat took the initiative to shake Dai Shiyu's hand. He said passionately, "Miss Dai, I'm Ho Lin, the store manager of Chow Tai Fook Jewelry Store on Sai Kung Street in Hong Kong." "Hello." Dai Shiyu's eyebrows furrowed slightly as she pulled back her hand that was being held tightly. Her attitude was a little cold. Ho Lin did not notice that at all. He could not wait to sit next to her. However, since Yichen was in the middle, he could not help but say, "Hey, can we change seats?" Meanwhile, he took a good look at Yichen with disdain in his eyes. Yichen was dressed so casually and was sitting in a 4th-class cabin. Clearly, he was not someone important. However, Yichen did not seem to hear that. Seeing that he was ignored, Ho Lin felt a little embarrassed. He snorted coldly and didn't say anything else. On the other hand, Dai Shiyu took a good look at Yichen. Surprise flashed through her pretty eyes when she saw that he was reading the Tao Te Ching. "Mr. Yi, do you like to read the Tao Te Ching too?" Before Yichen could speak, she said while smiling, "My father likes to read the Tao Te Ching too. He thinks that it contains all sorts of profound truths between heaven and earth." "I don't like to read it." Yichen interrupted her before she was done speaking. Dai Shiyu was slightly stunned. She thought that he was being humble, so she did not mind. "Since you don't like to read it, why are you still reading it?" "To kill time," Yichen said calmly. Dai Shiyu was completely speechless. She could not talk to him anymore. At the same time, she was curious about Yichen. She thought she was pretty and would attract attention wherever she went. However, Yichen did not look at her at all. It was as if she was nothing compared to the Tao Te Ching in his hand. Yichen asked, "Does your father understand the Tao Te Ching?" "I don't think he understands it. He just likes to read it." Dai Shiyu smiled lightly. "My father has studied the Tao Te Ching for most of his life. I guess he has some basic knowledge about it. He often tells me all sorts of truths in it." "What's so interesting about the Tao Te Ching?" Ho Lin, who could not find a chance to speak, scoffed. "It's just a book from a feudal society. The reason why it's so exaggerated is because of the scholars. Why don't you read the popular jade instead?" He smiled at Dai Shiyu passionately as he spoke to this point. "Ms. Dai, you must visit my jewelry store when you're in Hong Kong. There are many pieces of jewelry, jade and gold. I'll give you a discount if you like one." "No, I'll give it to you for free." "Thanks, but I don't like jewelry." Dai Shiyu smiled politely and proceeded to speak to Yichen. "My father said that the Tao Te Ching was passed down by Lao Dan. He used to tell me about the purple chi from the east when I was young." "What's the purple chi from the east?" Ho Lin interrupted. Dai Shiyu secretly frowned and shook her head. "The so-called purple chi from the east refers to when Laozi left Hangu Pass from the west. The Hangu Pass commander, Shi, saw the purple chi coming from the east and knew that a saint was passing through. As expected, he saw Laozi riding a green ox through Hangu Pass, which symbolizes an auspicious future. Later on, Laozi stayed at Hangu Pass to comprehend. He eventually comprehended the Tao Te Ching and taught it to people. Then he rode the purple chi and ascended to heaven." Yichen glanced at her in slight surprise. Clearly, He did not expect a girl like her to know about the story. That's just a legend. It's indeed a feudal society's poison. Ho Lin scoffed and said while looking at Yi Chun with a scoff, "Young man, I'm advising you to read less of this if you have the time. Poor people like you should read more inspirational modern books." Yi Chun smiled and proceeded to read. Dai Shiyu glanced at Ho Lin in slight disgust and ignored him. Ho Lin was a little annoyed by their cold shoulder. He said casually, "Miss Dai, you can look for me if you encounter any trouble in Hong Kong. Hong Kong has been a little chaotic recently, and many people have died." Chaos? Dai Shiyu didn't believe him. Ho Lin nodded and said, "That's right. It is said that there are ancient martial arts practitioners fighting. Do you know about ancient martial arts practitioners? People like Brother Yi can blow you to death with one breath." "There really are ancient warriors?" Dai Shiyu was a little shocked. Ho Lin took in all of her expressions. He was secretly proud of himself and said, "There really is. But you don't have to be afraid. I happen to know an ancient martial art practitioner." However, when his gaze landed on Yi Chun's expression changed. However, he realized that Yi Chun did not seem to hear him. He felt as uncomfortable as if he had eaten a fly. He couldn't help but sneer. "Brother, you doesn't seem to believe me." "I do," Yi Chun said expressionlessly. "But so what? It's fine if they don't provoke me. But if they do, they'll die." "Who do you think you are?" Ho Lin laughed out loud and said, "I know you want to show that you're not afraid of anything in front of Miss Dai. But believe me, when you really meet her, you'll regret coming to this world." At that moment, the cabin suddenly shook violently. Subsequently, a series of screams came. "Look, there's someone on the sea. Oh my God, what's that? They're coming to us." Yi Chun and the rest lifted their heads to look immediately. They saw 3 people running on the vast river. The one running in front was a middle-aged man with a severed arm. The man's face was pale as he held a bag tightly in his hand. He turned his head to look at the 2 people behind him as he ran. The 2 of them were dressed in black, and their faces were covered. Only their eyes were exposed. They were holding 2 katanas in their hands. People from Japan? Ninjas? Yi Chun's expression turned slightly serious. P.S. Chapter 2, there's one more to go. Chapter 369. The appearance of the 3 people on the sea forced the passenger ship to stop. Countless passengers stared blankly at the 3 people on the sea. They can actually run on the sea as if they're flying? Is this something a human can do? Unbelievable, unbelievable. If I didn't see it with my own eyes, I wouldn't believe it even if you beat me to death. Not good. They are running towards us. Hurry, hurry, hurry. Set sail quickly. Countless people were dumbfounded, including Dai Shiyu and Ho Lin. Both of them were dumbfounded. Ho Lin, in particular, opened his mouth so wide that one could swallow a duck egg. Although he had previously boasted that he knew an ancient martial artist, that ancient martial artist was at most in the inner energy stage. It was not as shocking as the scene in front of him. Meanwhile, the one-armed man, who was running at the front, ran toward the passenger ship as if he had seen his savior. "Save me! Save me!" The 2 ninjas chased after him relentlessly. "Don't come over. Dive further away. Don't drag us down. Mother of Asterisker, can you drive the boat?" For a time, all the passengers exclaimed and cursed for fear of being implicated. Those with discerning eyes knew that the 2 ninjas were not to be trifled with. Once they boarded the ship, they would also die. Yi Chun shook his head lightly. Just when he was about to sit down, his expression changed all of a sudden. Subsequently, he looked at the package in the one-armed old man's arms, because he actually sensed a trace of a familiar aura. "Night Demon? Is that you?" Yi Chun was in disbelief. When he was a celestial emperor, he had the emperor weapon Peerless Sword, the immortal artifact Night Devil Armor, immortal Prison Hall, Prison Warden Mountain, as well as the immortal Killing Blade. It was just that these things would all shatter at the moment of death. Except for Wu Shuang. He didn't expect that he could actually sense the Night Devil's aura. "Save me! Save me!" The one-armed man roared again and again. The 2 ninjas behind him were less than 10 meters away from him. The katanas in their hands flashed with a cold light. "Night Demon, I hope it's you." Yi Chun sighed softly. Eventually, he walked to the passenger ship's exit. Dai Shiyu hurriedly asked, "Mr. Yi, where are you going?" "Save them," Yichen said without even turning his head. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone went into an uproar. They even thought that they had heard wrongly, and they couldn't help but say, "Has that kid gone mad? You're going to save them?" "Mr. Yi, don't go. They're not ordinary people." Dai Shiyu's expression changed, and she hurriedly stopped him. Ho Lin was stunned for a moment before he sneered. "This kid is really crazy. He's still trying to act tough at a time like this." Two uniformed guards walked over and stopped Yi Chun. "Sir, for your safety, please sit down immediately." Yi Chun shook his head lightly. He then smashed the window in the cabin with a punch and turned into a stream of light that shot out of the window. In the blink of an eye, he landed behind the one-armed man and stood on the surface of the sea. Seeing this scene, everyone on the ship was stunned. Their eyes widened, and they forgot to make a fuss. They even forgot to breathe. Was he a human or an immortal? Dai Shiyu's beautiful eyes glazed over. "Mr. Yi, he... Before this, he thought that Yi Chun was an ordinary person. Since Yi Chun had the same hobbies as his father, he talked a little more about him. Who would have thought that the other party would do something like this in the blink of an eye? Ho Lin fell to the ground, almost scared to death. The poor kid in his eyes had instantly transformed into a deity. How could he have made fun of such a person? Wasn't this a death wish? On the surface of the river, the one-armed man was stunned as Yi Chun appeared out of nowhere. The two Japanese ninjas who were chasing after him were stunned too. "Senior, I'm Old Wong. Please save me," the one-armed man said immediately. He had almost lost all hope earlier. The reason why he asked for help was a subconscious action. Never had he thought that a savior would really come. Yi Chun went straight to the point. "Give me the thing in your hand." Wang Long was slightly stunned. He did not expect Yi Chun to have the same intention as those ninjas. He said while clenching his teeth after some hesitation, "Sure, I'd rather give it to you than letting it fall into the hands of those Japanese dogs." The two ninjas far away had a change of expression. The expressions of the two ninjas in the distance changed. One of them took a step forward and said a lot of things in a threatening manner. "Senior, they're saying that they're from the Yin Yang Master Kuzuke clan. They're asking you to give them the thing for their sake." Wang Long translated in fear. Yin Yang Masters. They were the most mysterious people in Japan. They were comparable to wealthy families like the Yagyu clan, the Tachibana clan, the Fujiwara clan, and the Toyotomi clan. Yin Yang Masters? The Kuzuke clan? I don't want to know who they are. Yi Chun's expression was cold. "Those Japanese dogs have no right to talk to me. You guys have committed countless crimes in our country back then. Don't you dare leave today. Die." Yi Chun moved and leaped toward the duo while stepping on the waves. "Baka!" One of the ninjas was enraged. He disappeared from the sea in the next second while waving his katana. The other martial artist slashed at Yi Chun while sticking close to the sea. A wave was stirred on the sea. "Senior, that's the Ayajutsu." Wang Long's expression changed. "Ayajutsu?" Yi Chun scoffed. "You're just a foreign barbarian. How dare you play with a sword before me? When it comes to sword techniques, China is your ancestor." The Master Destruction saber appeared in his hand. He cut the water with the saber and slashed. White silk soared into the sky. The slash broke the white waves that the opponent slashed out directly. Subsequently, he slashed the opponent in half. At the same time, the person who disappeared earlier appeared behind Yi Chun like a specter. He slashed his saber at Yi Chun's back with a maniacal grin on his face. In the next second, the slash landed directly on Yi Chun's body. However, to his horror, his katana broke right away, while Yi Chun's back was completely unharmed. Even his clothes were not torn. Disbelief appeared on his face immediately. Since when did China have such a physique master? Die! Yi Chun lifted his arm and waved. A water dragon gathered in his hand instantly. The water dragon roared and charged at the man, piercing his body directly. Bang! As a loud thud came, he exploded. Filthy blood, stinking flesh. Yi Chun shook his head lightly. His cold voice shook the entire sea. "Although I like to kill, I only kill those who offend me. However, To you Japanese dogs, as long as you dare to come to China, I'll kill as many as you come." The entire place fell into dead silence. Countless eyes were filled with shock as they looked at him. Never had they thought that he would kill two such powerful people so easily. The entire process was so easy. Dai Shiyu and Ho Lin, who were in the cabin, felt their heads buzz. Wang Long was so shocked that his jaw almost dropped. He jolted when he saw Yi Chun lifting his head to look at him. He said immediately, "Senior, I'm a man of my word. I'll give it to you. Come with me first." Yi Chun picked him up and leaped into the sea. He wanted to ask Wang Long where he got this from. P.S. Today's update for the 3rd chapter is over. Thank you, everyone. This book will be free tomorrow. At the same time, I wish myself a happy 24th birthday. Chapter 370. In the sea near Zhonggong, Yi Chun let go of Wang Long. Yi Chun let go of Wang Long in his hand and held a black fragment in his hand. He was rather emotional. It was really the Night Demon's fragment. The Night Demon was a grade 9 immortal weapon, the Night Demon battle armor. The artifact spirit in it was an old man. In terms of shamelessness, the Patriarch of Hell was nothing compared to this old man. However, the Night Demon risked its life to protect Yi Chun in the battle. It was eventually shattered. Never had he thought that the fragment would appear on Earth. Connecting it to the fragment that Yu Wuxuang had obtained earlier in his speculation, Yi Chun could not help but feel excited that he could not hide. Could the Night Demon have landed on Earth too? Yi Chun remained silent for a long time. Wang Long stood aside, not daring to breathe loudly. "Tell me, where did you get this fragment from?" Yi Chun took a deep breath in and glared at Wang Long after putting the fragment in his hand away. He would not mind performing the soul-searching tactic if Wang Long hid anything. "Mr. Yi, I got this from Jiaoxi." Wang Long dared not hide anything, so he told Yi Chun everything about the fragment. It turned out that Wang Long was the person in charge of Hong Kong's Sun Yian Group. Sun Yian Group's influence was not limited to Hong Kong, but it covered the entire Southeast Asia. 3 months ago, there was a huge explosion in Jiaoxi. It was like a meteor had fallen and sparks shot into the sky. The place where it landed collapsed directly, forming a sinkhole. Due to the huge commotion, it attracted the attention of many organizations. Someone went to investigate and found a few golden gleams in the sinkhole. They suspected that it was a rare treasure that had fallen from the sky. When Wang Long received the news, he led his men there personally. In the end, a battle broke out between many organizations. Even the people from Japan came. Wang Long managed to get a piece of the shard and escaped. Not only were his underlings dead, but he was also being hunted by 2 ninjas. Later on, Yi Chun saved him. "There's something I don't understand. You don't even know what this fragment is? Why won't you hand it over even if you die?" Yi Chun frowned. Wang Long said immediately, "Mr. Yi, although I don't know what exactly it is, I heard that the people from Japan and Europe value it. However, I heard that Japan and Europe place a lot of importance on them. They even sent out yin-yang masters, ninjas, and awakened ones." Yi Chun took a good look at him. He said after confirming that he did not seem to be lying, "This belongs to me now. I don't want you to tell anyone about this. Of course, I won't take your benefits for nothing." With that, he flicked his finger and a good fortune pill shot towards Wang Long. "Take this pill, and you can regrow your severed arm. It's also a condition. Are you willing?" In fact, with his style of doing things, there was no need for him to waste so much time talking to Wang Long. He could have just killed him and taken the item. However, he remembered that Wang Long was a local tyrant in Hong Kong, and keeping him alive would be more useful than killing him. "Yes, yes." Wang Long nodded decisively. He was a sensible person. Yi Chun's method of killing the 2 Japanese ninjas within seconds had completely shocked him. It would be a piece of cake for Yi Chun to kill him. Meanwhile, he was shocked as he looked at the medicinal pill in his hand. He did not expect Yi Chun to know alchemy apart from being powerful. Mr. Yi must be an illuminating god expert, just like the leader of the southern sect, Master Shun Tianan. He was very sure. He could only befriend such a person and not offend him. He reminded Yi Chun out of kindness as he thought to this point, "Mr. Yi, you must be careful since you've killed the people from the Cave clan. I think they're determined to get that fragment. It's not easy to deal with them. The Kuzukabe clan? Yi Chen asked. That's right. Wang Long nodded. They're all Japanese yin-yang masters. Their techniques are mysterious. Meanwhile, there are 4 yin-yang master clans in Japan. They're the Abe clan, the Kuzukabe clan, the Hidamohana clan, and the Kumo clan. One could say that these 4 clans have gathered all of the yin-yang masters in Japan. To him, although Yi Chen was powerful, it was clearly impossible for him to fight such a huge clan. Got it. Yi Chen nodded lightly, but he secretly made up his mind. After dealing with the patriarch, he would follow the clues of the fragment in his hand to see if he could find the night demon. At that moment, the sound of an engine came from the sea. A speedboat broke through the waves and came at high speed. There were 3 people on the speedboat. My underlings are here. Wang Long was overjoyed. He turned his head and said to Yi Chen, Mr. Yi, why don't you come with me on the speedboat? You can visit my son Yeon while you're at it. He really wanted to befriend Yi Chen. There's no need for that. Yi Chen shook his head and rejected him. Someone's picking me up on the shore. Before he came, old Master Gu had arranged for someone to pick him up in Hong Kong. It was considered a way for him to familiarize himself with Hong Kong. Yi Chen accepted it gladly. Sure, Mr. Yi. This is my name card. My contact number is on it. Feel free to look for me if you need anything in Hong Kong. We'll meet again someday. Wang Long gave Yi Chen a name card when the speedboat got closer. He clasped his fists and leaped onto the speedboat. He left through the waves. After watching the speedboat disappear, Yi Chen flew toward the harbor. It was 5 p.m. at the harbor in Hong Kong. A Porsche 911 was parked by the roadside. There was a piece of paper on the window. There were 2 unusually bright red and eye-catching words written on it. Yi Chen. Meanwhile, there was a young man and a young lady sitting in the Porsche. The young man was approximately 24 or 25 years old. He had chiseled features and his legs were placed on the steering wheel. He could not stop cutting his nails with a nail clipper. Meanwhile, the lady next to him wore a sun hat. She had an oval face and arched eyebrows. She was rather pretty, but there was impatience on her pretty face. A while later, the lady took out her phone to check the time and complained, Fong Hao, it's late. Why isn't the person Grandpa asked us to pick up here yet? Just wait. Grandpa said that he's a big shot. He even asked us to be polite. The young man named Fong Hao revealed a mocking smile at the corner of his lips. A big shot? The lady frowned slightly. A big shot is taking a regular passenger boat? Don't they usually take a helicopter or a private jet? All right, even if he's a big shot, I don't think Fong Hao, have to wait here, do I? You'll know when you see him. Fong Hao scoffed. I'd love to know who exactly is the big shot that Fong Hao, have to spend an hour to welcome him personally. Fong Hao is the eldest son of the Fong family. Although the Fong family was not considered a wealthy family in Hong Kong, they were nothing compared to the wealthy families on the mainland. Moreover, Fong Hao, was the leader of the younger generation circle. He had a good relationship with the middle management of Sun Yi, On Guild, and 14K. He was the center of attention wherever he went. Since when did he have to be kept in suspense? We'll wait for another 10 minutes. We'll leave if he's not here. The lady was rather upset. Her name was Fong Mi. She was the adopted daughter of the Fong family. Due to her talent in business, she had been managing the entire Fong family's business since a young age. The business was booming, and her position in the Fong family was no lower than Fong Hao's. At that moment, a skinny, ordinary-looking young man in plain clothes walked over. He knocked on the window and said while smiling, May I know if you guys are here to pick me up? Chapter 371. You're Yi Chen? Fong Mi and Fong Hao asked almost at the same time. They suspected that he was an impersonator or that he had the same name. Yi Chen was just too different from what they imagined him to be. Yi Chen smiled calmly. You guys are from the Fong family, aren't you? The news I received said that someone from the Fong family will pick me up. That's right. Fong Mi and Fong Hao secretly looked at each other. They saw disappointment and coldness in each other's eyes. Before this, they had been joking about whether Yi Chen was a big shot or not. Although it was just a joke, never had they thought that he would be so ordinary. He was not a big shot at all. Mr. Yi, get in the car. Fong Hao sneered, emphasizing the word Mr. He made me wait for an hour for such a person. I might be laughed at by the people in the circle if this gets out. Yichen did not care about their attitude and got into the car. After all, he did not want to have too much contact with them. Fang Hao drove in the direction of Tsim Sha Sui. Fang Mi had been paying attention to Yi Chun along the way. Until now, she still did not believe that the so-called big shot her grandfather mentioned was like this. Eventually, she could not help but ask, "Mr. Yi, is this your first time in Hong Kong?" "Yes." Yi Chun responded coldly. Fang Mi shook her head lightly and asked again, "So, are you close to my cousin Fang Yuan?" Fang Yuan was Gu Shaoquan's wife and old Master Gu's granddaughter-in-law. She was married from Hong Kong. The reason why Fang Mi asked that was because she heard from her grandfather that Yi Chun seemed to be related to the Gu family. "Not really," Yi Chun said while shaking his head. Fang Mi was completely disappointed to hear that. It was his first time in Hong Kong. He was not even close to his cousin, Fang Yuan. It seemed like he was her employee or someone else who wanted to come to Hong Kong to broaden his horizons. She was enraged when she thought to this point. "What's wrong with Grandpa? I can't believe he asked us to pick someone like him up." Fang Hao, who had been driving, stopped the car all of a sudden. He looked at Yi Chun and said coldly, "I know you're here to broaden your horizons, but I have to warn you. Hong Kong is different from China. One can say that the wealth and power gathered here will only be higher than in China. That is to say, the ground under your feet is easily tens of thousands of square meters. Any random person walking on the street is very likely to be a billionaire." He paused as he spoke to this point and glared at Yi Chun's expression. "Therefore, it's best for you to keep a low profile here. Otherwise, you won't even know how you die if you offend someone." "All right," Yi Chun said nonchalantly. There was probably no one in the entire Hua nation or even the entire world that he couldn't afford to offend. However, he didn't want to say this because they wouldn't believe him even if he said it. Seeing his indifferent expression, Fang Hao was secretly a little unhappy. He coldly snorted and said, "I've already said what I want to say. It's up to you whether you believe it or not. A country bumpkin. You'll know fear when you encounter trouble. I like to see how you're going to face it then." At that moment, Fang Mi's phone rang. She picked it up and frowned unhappily. She looked at Fang Hao and said, "Grandpa wants us to bring Mr. Yi to dinner." She could not wait to send Yi Chun to the hotel and leave. She did not want to have a meal with him. "Since it's Grandpa's order, I'll just do it." Fang Hao scoffed and drove into a high-end restaurant. The restaurant staff tried to please him as soon as they saw him. Brother Hao, you're here." Ms. Fang, the displeasure on Fang Hao's face was replaced by a smile. He glanced at Yi Chun by instinct. Noticing that Yi Chun had no expression on his face, Fang Hao smiled. His smile suddenly froze, and he said to the staff behind him, "Give us an emperor's set meal." The staff led the few of them to an extremely luxurious private room. 5 hunks walked toward them when they were passing by the corridor. The leader was a middle-aged man who looked ferocious. "Brother Elephant." Fang Hao went to them immediately and greeted them while smiling. Even Fang Mi was no exception. Brother Elephant said while smiling, "Yo, it's young Master Fang and Ms. Fang. I haven't seen you guys for a few days. You guys look more energetic." At that moment, he noticed Yi Chun behind them. He said while raising his brows, "Brother, who are you? You don't look familiar." Fang Hao had a scoff on his face. He walked over and whispered into Brother Elephant's ear. Brother Elephant came to a realization. There was mockery in his eyes when he looked at Yi Chun again. "So, you're a bumpkin from China. Greet Brother Elephant now." Fang Hao ordered Yi Chun. However, Yi Chun merely glanced at Brother Elephant from the corner of his eye. There was no expression on his face, let alone greet him. Brother Elephant's expression turned grim upon seeing that. "Brother, you have a unique personality. I like it." At the same time, the 4 hunks behind him were glaring at Yi Chun in a hostile manner. Fang Mi's expression changed, and she shot Yi Chun a look immediately. Brother Elephant is from Sun Yian Guild. He's in charge of Tsim Sha Sui. Greet him now. Although the Fang family was doing well in Hong Kong, they were nothing compared to Sun Yian Guild and 14K. The most unique thing about Hong Kong was these organizations. They had been around for almost 100 years. Even the most popular celebrities and actors in Hong Kong would have to kneel to them if they offended them. However, Yi Chen remained unmoved. At that moment, Fong Hao and Fong Mi wanted to strangle him to death. They were filled with regret. If they had known this would happen, they would not have brought this idiot here. A ferocious gleam flashed through Brother Elephant's eyes. Subsequently, he walked to Yi Chen while grinning. He extended his arm and patted his shoulder hard. "Brother, I admire your personality. I'll protect you from now on." He emphasized on the word protect. Yi Chen said expressionlessly, "Take your hand off me." The people were stunned to hear that. Brother Elephant squinted. "What did you say?" "I don't want to repeat myself," Yi Chen said. Brother Elephant laughed out of rage. "It's my first time seeing someone with such a character like you. I believe you have some confidence. Do you want to spar with my brothers?" As soon as he was done speaking, a hunk was walking to Yi Chen. "No." Fong Mi suddenly blocked Yi Chen. She said to Brother Elephant while looking at him, "Brother Elephant, it's my friend's first time in Hong Kong. He doesn't know the rules. Please forgive him for my sake." She hated Yi Chen to the core. She had never seen such a stupid person. "Don't you see that even we have to be polite to Brother Elephant? We don't dare to offend him. If not for my grandpa's order, I wouldn't even care about your life. Yi, hurry up and apologize to Brother Elephant." Fong Hao was also frightened and hurriedly roared. "Apologize?" Yi Chen smiled in disdain. "He's not qualified." Everyone was stunned as soon as he said that. Fong Hao was so mad that he almost spat blood. "Damn it, don't drag us down if you want to die." "Great, that's great." Brother Elephant's face was cold. Instead of being mad, he said while smiling, "Brat, you're the first person who dares to talk to me like that. Tiger, break one of his arms." P.S. Chapter 2. There's one more chapter. Chapter 372. The appearance of the three people on the sea forced the passenger ship to stop. Countless passengers stared blankly at the three people on the sea. They can actually run on the sea as if they're flying? Is this something a human can do? Unbelievable, unbelievable. If I didn't see it with my own eyes, I wouldn't believe it even if you beat me to death. Not good. They are running towards us. "Hurry, hurry, hurry. Set sail quickly." Countless people were dumbfounded, including Dai Shiyu and Ho Lin. Both of them were dumbfounded. Ho Lin, in particular, opened his mouth so wide that one could swallow a duck egg. Although he had previously boasted that he knew an ancient martial artist, that ancient martial artist was at most in the inner energy stage. It was not as shocking as the scene in front of him. Meanwhile, the one-armed man, who was running at the front, ran toward the passenger ship as if he had seen his savior. "Save me! Save me!" The two ninjas chased after him relentlessly. "Don't come over. Dive further away. Don't drag us down." Mother Asterisker, can you drive the boat? For a time, all the passengers exclaimed and cursed for fear of being implicated. Anyone with a discerning eye knew that the two ninjas were not to be trifled with. Once they boarded the ship, they would also die. Yi Chen shook his head lightly. Just when he was about to sit down, his expression changed all of a sudden. Subsequently, he looked at the package in the one-armed old man's arms, because he actually sensed a trace of a familiar aura. "Night Demon? Is it you?" Yi Chen was in disbelief. When he was a celestial emperor, he had the emperor weapon Peerless Sword, the immortal artifact Night Devil Armor, immortal Prison Hall, Prison Warden Mountain, as well as the immortal Killing Blade. It was just that these things would all shatter at the moment of death. Except for Wu Xuan. He didn't expect that he could actually sense the Night Devil's aura. "Save me! Save me!" The one-armed man roared again and again. The two ninjas behind him were less than 10 meters away from him. The katanas in their hands flashed with a cold light. "Night Demon, I hope it's you." Yi Chen sighed softly. Eventually, he walked to the passenger ship's exit. Dai Shiyu hurriedly asked, "Mr. Yi, where are you going?" "Save them," Yi Chen said without even turning his head. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone went into an uproar. They even thought that they had heard wrongly, and they couldn't help but say, "Is that kid crazy? You're going to save them?" "Mr. Yi, don't go. They're not ordinary people." Dai Shiyu's expression changed, and she hurriedly stopped him. Ho Lin was stunned for a moment. Then he laughed coldly This kid is really crazy. Please note, please pay attention to the rest of your eyes when reading for a long time. 00 recommended reading. You're still trying to act tough at a time like this. 2 uniformed guards walked over and stopped Yi Chun. Sir, for your safety, please sit down immediately. Yi Chun shook his head lightly. He then smashed the window in the cabin with a punch and turned into a stream of light that shot out of the window. In the blink of an eye, he landed behind the one-armed man and stood on the surface of the sea. Seeing this scene, everyone on the ship was stunned. Their eyes widened, and they forgot to make a fuss. They even forgot to breathe. Was he a human or an immortal? Dai Shiyu's beautiful eyes glazed over. Mr. Yi, he... Before this, he thought that Yi Chun was an ordinary person. Since Yi Chun had the same hobbies as his father, he talked a little more about him. Who would have thought that the other party would do something like this in the blink of an eye? Ho Lin fell onto the ground, almost scared to death. The poor kid in his eyes had transformed into an immortal. How could he tease such a person earlier? Was he not seeking death? On the surface of the river, the one-armed man was stunned as Yi Chun appeared out of nowhere. The 2 Japanese ninjas who were chasing after him were stunned too. Senior, I'm Old Wong. Please save me, the one-armed man said immediately. He had almost lost all hope earlier. The reason why he asked for help was a subconscious action. Never had he thought that a savior would really come. Yi Chun went straight to the point. Give me the thing in your hand. Wang Long was slightly stunned. He did not expect Yi Chun to have the same intention as the ninjas. He said while clenching his teeth after some hesitation, Sure, I'd rather give it to you than to the Japanese dogs. As soon as he said that, the expressions of the 2 ninjas in the distance changed. One of them took a step forward and said a lot of things in a threatening manner. Senior, they're saying that they're from the Yin-Yang Master Kuzukabe clan. They're asking you to give them the thing for their sake. Wang Long translated in fear. Yin-Yang Masters. They were the most mysterious people in Japan. They were comparable to wealthy families like the Yagyu family, the Tachibana family, the Fujiwara family, and the Toyotomi family. Yin-Yang Masters? The Kuzukabe clan? I don't want to know who they are. Yi Chun looked cold. The Japanese dogs have no right to talk to me. You guys have committed countless crimes in our country back then. Don't you dare leave today. Die. Yi Chun moved and leaped toward the duo while stepping on the waves. Baka! One of the ninjas was enraged. He disappeared from the surface of the sea in the next second while waving his katana. Please take care of your eyes when reading for a long time. Recommended reading. The martial artist slashed at Yi Chun while sticking close to the surface of the sea. A wave was stirred on the surface of the sea. Senior, that's the Ayajutsu. Wang Long's expression changed. Ayajutsu? Yi Chun scoffed. You're just a barbarian from overseas. How dare you play with a sword before me? In terms of sword techniques, China is your ancestor. The Master Destruction saber appeared in his hand. He cut the water with the saber and swung it. While Yin soared into the sky, the saber broke the white wave that the opponent slashed out directly. Subsequently, it cut the opponent into half. At the same time, the person who disappeared earlier appeared behind Yi Chun like a ghost. He slashed his saber at Yi Chun's back with a maniacal grin on his face. In the next second, the saber slashed Yi Chun directly. However, to his horror, his katana broke right away while Yi Chun's back was completely unharmed. Even his clothes were not torn. A look of disbelief immediately appeared on his face. Since when did China have such a physique master? Die! Yi Chun lifted his arm and waved. A water dragon gathered in his hand instantly. The water dragon roared and charged at the man, piercing his body directly. Bang! As a loud thud came, his entire body exploded. Filthy blood, stinking flesh. Yi Chun shook his head lightly. His cold voice shook the entire sea. Although I like to kill, I only kill those who offend me. However, to you Japanese dogs, as long as you dare to come to China, I'll kill as many as you come. The entire place fell into dead silence. Countless eyes were filled with shock as they looked at him. Never had they thought that he would kill 2 such powerful people so easily. The entire process was so easy. Dai Shiyu and Ho Lin, who were in the cabin, felt their heads buzz. Wang Long was so shocked that his jaw almost dropped. He jolted when he saw Yi Chun lifting his head to look at him. He said immediately, "Senior, I'm a man of my word. I'll give it to you. Come with me first." Yi Chun picked him up and leaped into the sea. He wanted to ask Wang Long where he got this from. P.S. Today's update for the 3rd chapter is over. Thank you, everyone. This book will be free tomorrow. At the same time, I wish myself a happy 24th birthday. Chapter 373. In the sea near Zhonggong, Yi Chun let go of Wang Long. Yi Chun let go of Wang Long in his hand and held a black fragment in his hand. He was rather emotional. It was really the Night Demon's fragment. The Night Demon was a grade 9 immortal weapon, the Night Demon battle armor. The artifact spirit in it was an old man. In terms of shamelessness, the Patriarch of Hell was nothing compared to this old man. However, the Night Demon risked its life to protect Yi Chun in the battle. It was eventually shattered. Never had he thought that the fragment would appear on Earth. Connecting it to the fragment that Yi Wushuang had obtained earlier in his speculation, Yi Chun could not help but feel excited that he could not hide. Could the Night Demon have landed on Earth too? Yi Chun remained silent for a long time. Wang Long stood aside, not daring to breathe loudly. "Tell me, where did you get this fragment from?" Yi Chun took a deep breath in and glared at Wang Long after putting the fragment in his hand away. He would not mind performing the soul-searching tactic if Wang Long hid anything. "Mr. Yi, I got this from Jiaoji." Wang Long dared not hide anything, so he told Yi Chun everything about the fragment. It turned out that Wang Long was the person in charge of Hong Kong's Sun Yian Group. Sun Yian Group's influence was not limited to Hong Kong, but it covered the entire Southeast Asia. 3 months ago, there was a huge explosion in Jiaoji. It was like a meteor had fallen and sparks shot into the sky. The place where it landed collapsed directly, forming a sinkhole. Due to the huge commotion, it attracted the attention of many organizations. Someone went to investigate and found a few golden gleams in the sinkhole. They suspected that it was a rare treasure that had fallen from the sky. When Wang Long received the news, he led his men there personally. In the end, a battle broke out between many organizations. Even the people from Japan came. Wang Long managed to get a piece of the shard and escaped. Not only were his underlings dead, but he was also being hunted by 2 ninjas. Later on, Yi Chun saved him. "There's something I don't understand. You don't even know what this fragment is? Why won't you hand it over even if you die?" Yi Chun frowned. Wang Long said immediately, "Mr. Yi, although I don't know what exactly it is, I heard that the people from Japan and Europe value it. However, I heard that Japan and Europe place a lot of importance on them. They even sent out Yin-Yang masters, ninjas, and awakened ones." Yi Chun took a good look at him. He said after confirming that he did not seem to be lying, "This belongs to me now. I don't want you to tell anyone about this. Of course, I won't take your benefits for nothing." With that, he flicked his finger, and a good fortune pill shot towards Wang Long. "Take this pill, and you can regrow your severed arm. It's also a condition. Are you willing?" In fact, with his style of doing things, there was no need for him to waste so much time talking to Wang Long. He could have just killed him and taken the item. However, he remembered that Wang Long was a local tyrant in Hong Kong, and keeping him alive would be more useful than killing him. "Yes, yes." Wang Long nodded decisively. He was a sensible person. Yi Chun's method of killing the 2 Japanese ninjas within seconds had completely shocked him. It would be a piece of cake for Yi Chun to kill him. Meanwhile, he was shocked as he looked at the medicinal pill in his hand. He did not expect Yi Chun to know alchemy apart from being powerful. Mr. Yi must be an illuminating god expert, just like the leader of the southern sect, Master Shun Tianan. He was very sure. He could only befriend such a person and not offend him. He reminded Yi Chun out of kindness as he thought to this point, "Mr. Yi, you must be careful since you've killed the people from the Kusakabe clan. I think they're determined to get that fragment. It's not easy to deal with them." "The Kusakabe clan?" Yi Chun asked. "That's right." Wang Long nodded. "They're all Japanese yin-yang masters. Their techniques are mysterious. Meanwhile, There are 4 yin-yang master clans in Japan. They're the Abe clan, the Kusakabe clan, the Hidamohana clan, and the Kumo clan. One could say that these 4 clans have gathered all of the yin-yang masters in Japan. To him, although Yi Chun was powerful, it was clearly impossible for him to fight such a huge clan. Got it. Yi Chun nodded lightly, but he secretly made up his mind. After dealing with the patriarch, he would follow the clues of the fragment in his hand to see if he could find the night demon. At that moment, the sound of an engine came from the sea. A speedboat broke through the waves and came at high speed. There were 3 people on the speedboat. My underlings are here. Wang Long was overjoyed. He turned his head and said to Yi Chun, Mr. Yi, why don't you come with me on the speedboat? You can visit my son Yeon while you're at it. He really wanted to befriend Yi Chun. There's no need for that. Yi Chun shook his head and rejected him. Someone's picking me up on the shore. Before he came, old Master Gu had arranged for someone to pick him up in Hong Kong. It was considered a way for him to familiarize himself with Hong Kong. Yi Chun accepted it gladly. Sure, Mr. Yi. This is my name card. My contact number is on it. Feel free to look for me if you need anything in Hong Kong. We'll meet again someday. Wang Long gave Yi Chun a name card when the speedboat got closer. He clasped his fists and leaped onto the speedboat. He left through the waves. After watching the speedboat disappear, Yi Chun flew toward the harbor. It was 5 p.m. at the harbor in Hong Kong. A Porsche 911 was parked by the roadside. There was a piece of paper on the window. There were 2 unusually bright red and eye-catching words written on it. Yi Chun. Meanwhile, there was a young man and a young lady sitting in the Porsche. The young man was approximately 24 or 25 years old. He had chiseled features and his legs were placed on the steering wheel. He could not stop cutting his nails with a nail clipper. Meanwhile, the lady next to him wore a sun hat. She had an oval face and arched eyebrows. She was rather pretty, but there was impatience on her pretty face. A while later, the lady took out her phone to check the time and complained, Fong Hao, it's late. Why isn't the person Grandpa asked us to pick up here yet? Just wait. Grandpa said that he's a big shot. He even asked us to be polite. The young man named Fong Hao revealed a mocking smile at the corner of his lips. A big shot? The lady frowned slightly. A big shot is taking a regular passenger boat? Don't they usually take a helicopter or a private jet? All right, even if he's a big shot, I don't think I, Fong Hao, have to wait here, do I? You'll know when you see him. Fong Hao scoffed. I'd love to know who exactly is the big shot that I, Fong Hao, have to spend an hour to welcome him personally. Fong Hao is the eldest son of the Fong family. Although the Fong family was not considered a wealthy family in Hong Kong, they were nothing compared to the wealthy families on the mainland. Moreover, he, Fong Hao, was the leader of the younger generation circle. He had a good relationship with the middle management of Sun Yi, On Guild, and 14K. He was the center of attention wherever he went. Since when did he have to be kept in suspense? We'll wait for another 10 minutes. We'll leave if he's not here. The lady was rather upset. Her name was Fong Mi. She was the adopted daughter of the Fong family. Due to her talent in business, she had been managing the entire Fong family's business since a young age. The business was booming, and her position in the Fong family was no lower than Fong Hao's. At that moment, a skinny, ordinary-looking young man in plain clothes walked over. He knocked on the window and said while smiling, May I know if you guys are here to pick me up? Chapter 374. Fong Hao stopped the car after driving out of Tsim Sha Sui. He took a deep breath and said, You are indeed the person in charge of Sun Yan Club. That aura gave me too much pressure. If you look closely, you could see that his back was drenched. Fong Hao, we left Yi Chun there. Will he? Fong Mi said hesitantly. She was no better than Fong Hao at the moment. Wang Long's aura was so oppressive that she dared not speak. Fong Hao sneered. That brat dares to provoke Sun Yi, and just because he has some skills. What do we do? But how are we going to tell Grandpa if he dies? Fong Mi bit her lip, feeling a little conflicted. Just tell the truth. I believe Grandpa will understand. Fong Hao sneered, seeming to be disdainful. After all, Yi is really too insignificant compared to Sun Yi, and that's the only way. Fong Mi sighed softly and secretly shook her head. At that moment, Both of them regarded Yi Chun as a dead man. After all, his opponent was Xin Yin, and it was Wang Long. "Boss, this is the kid who injured us." Brother Elephant walked in front and led Wang Long to the corridor on the second floor. He stretched his arm and pointed at Yi Chun, who was smoking by the window. Meanwhile, Yi Chun turned around when he heard the noise. Wang Long quickly walked toward him. Brother Elephant and Yin Tai looked at him gloatingly. Their faces were filled with a vengeful smile, as if they could already see him being torn into pieces by their boss. However, the next moment, Wang Long suddenly bowed after walking to Yi Chun. He said respectfully while clasping his fists, "Mr. Yi, I'm so excited to see you again. Buzz." Yin Tai and Yin Tai looked as if they were struck by lightning, their faces filled with disbelief. Their boss, the leader of Sun Yeon Group, the man who could cause an earthquake in Hong Kong with a stomp of his foot, was so respectful to a young man. How was this possible? They had imagined many scenarios where the two of them would meet, but they had never imagined that it would be like this. Facing Wang Long's respect, Yi Chun looked at him expressionlessly. His voice was rather cold. "Wang Long, I suddenly regret not killing you earlier." As soon as he said that, Wang Long felt the pressure on him increase, as if he was in a world of ice and snow. He knelt before Yi Chun as a thud was heard. "Mr. Yi, it's my fault for not teaching my subordinates well. I'll give you an explanation now." Having said that, he got up and walked straight towards Yin Tai and his companion with undisguised killing intent on his face. "Brother Long, what are you doing?" Brother Elephant took a step back and said while trembling, "Brother Long, you should have killed that kid. Die." Wang Long threw a punch at Yin Tai's head. Before he could finish his words, his whole body exploded from the punch, and blood splattered on Yin Tai's face. Yin Tai's face was aghast, and his eyes were filled with fear. "Why? Brother Long, why? Is this how you treat your own brother?" "Brother?" Wang Long sneered. "Yin Tai, you've been with me for 10 years, haven't you? I've always treated you like a brother, but you actually colluded with 14K behind my back." "No." Yin Tai took a step back, looking panicked. "I didn't. Half a year ago, you received 2 million yuan from 14K online. On top of that, you transferred it to your lover's card. My Sun Yeon Group was searched by the Commercial Crime Investigation Department, and a USB flash drive was found on the spot. 3 days ago, you received another 10 million yuan from 14K. Because you heard that my entire team was wiped out in Jiaoji and I was severely injured, you wanted to overthrow me and be the boss." Wang Long was getting closer. Every sentence made Yin Tai's expression change drastically. "Go to hell." Yin Tai shrieked. A dagger appeared in his hand, and he stabbed it at Wang Long without hesitation. Bang! Wang Long broke both of his arms with a slap and lifted in midair. He enunciated word for word. "I think I'm a magnanimous person. If that's all you've done, I might consider sparing your life. But you shouldn't have offended Mr. Yi. That's because he's my savior." Yin Tai's eyes were wide open as soon as he said that. Yin Tai's eyes were wide open. Now, he finally understood why Yi Chun was so powerful. He also understood why Wang Long was so respectful to him. "You'll die if you offend Mr. Yi." Wang Long exerted strength in his arm and crushed Yin Tai's throat directly. Subsequently, he tossed him onto the ground and ran to Yin Tai and Brother Elephant's underlings again, as a series of devastating shrieks were heard. He and Yi Chun were the only ones left alive. Plop! Wang Long knelt before Yi Chun again. "Mr. Yi, I'm sorry for not teaching him well. I'm willing to accept any punishment from you." "That's enough." Yi Chun shook his head lightly as he looked at the blood on the ground. Wang Long heaved a sigh of relief, as if a heavy burden had been lifted off his shoulders. He arranged a private room for Yi Chun immediately and ordered many dishes and hostesses. Yi Chun waved to get the hostesses to leave. He lifted his eyes to look at him. "I heard that there's an auction in Hong Kong recently. I wonder if it's true?" "That's right." Wang Long glanced at him in surprise and said with a nod, "It's going to be held in the busiest area in Hong Kong Central. The exact time is 8 p.m. tomorrow. This auction is unprecedented. I heard that many people will attend it, but it's by invitation." "By invitation?" Yi Chun frowned slightly. He He had no idea about that. He knocked on the table and said, "I suppose Sun Yeon Guild has an invitation?" "That's right. I received an invitation earlier." Wang Long understood what Yi Chen meant at that moment. He said while smiling, "Mr. Yi, I can give you my invitation if you need it." "There's no need for that." Yi Chen smiled lightly. "If you don't mind, just bring me along when the time comes." Although Sun Yeon Guild was nothing to him, it was a super organization in Hong Kong after all. If Wang Long did not go, it would definitely attract a lot of attention. He did not want to make a big deal out of it. After dinner, Yi Chen rejected Wang Long's escort and left Hungrue Hotel alone. The sky had turned dark at that moment. To his surprise, there were many cultivators on the streets of Tsim Sha Sui. There were ancient martial artists and spell masters. Most of them were spell masters, and their cultivation base was high. Apart from that, there were many foreigners. Among them were people from Japan whom Yi Chen hated. Although they disguised themselves well, he still noticed them. "I suppose they're all here for the auction since they're all gathered in Hong Kong. It's getting more and more interesting." Yi Chen chuckled softly and disappeared from the street. Soon after he left, a lady stood on the 8th floor of the hotel. She looked at the direction where he disappeared in a condescending manner. There was doubt on her pretty face. At that moment, an old man in a long robe walked over while smiling. "Miss Tang, what are you looking at? Young Master Shun and the rest are waiting for us." "Nothing." The lady shook her head lightly and took a good look at the direction where Yi Chen disappeared. She suddenly said to the old man next to her, "Master Yao, do you think ancient martial artists or spell masters are more powerful?" "It's hard to say." Master Yao smiled and said, "Below the illuminating deity realm, Dao initiation realm spell masters are slightly weaker than ancient martial artists. This is mainly because Dao initiation realm spell masters can't use many divine powers. At most, they can control Dharma artifacts." "How about illuminating God?" the lady asked again. Master Yao said, "Illuminating God corresponds to the master level of ancient martial artists. If they're on the same level, illuminating God is more powerful than a master, especially for someone like young Master Shun who inherited the teachings of the leader of Hong Kong's southern sect, Master Shun." The lady gave a short response, seeming to be satisfied. She would never forget how the young man had strangled her like an ant when she went to the mainland to worship her ancestors. She could not fight back at all. This was a humiliation to her. It was also a nightmare. Yi Chen. She remembered that name back then. She swore to take revenge. After returning to Hong Kong, she was put in an important position by the Tang family through her hard work. She took over the family within a few months and was close to Shun Xingye, the disciple of Master Shen Tianan, the leader of the southern sect in Hong Kong's spell world. Shun Xingye was an illuminating god expert. To her, judging from the technique that Yi Chen performed back then, he should be a master among ancient martial artists. He would definitely be no match for Shun Xingye, who was Shun Tianan's disciple. She secretly shook her head as she thought to this point. What a pity. Young Master Shun could not go to the mainland for now. Otherwise, he could regain his dignity from back then and get Yi Chen to kneel and apologize to him at the same time. Chapter 375. As Brother Elephant's voice fell, a muscular hunk with arms that looked like a horned dragon strode toward Yi Chen. At the same time, he extended his palm that was the size of a cattail leaf fan. There was a dense sneer on his face. Fong Mi's expression changed when she saw that. She wanted to stop him by instinct, but Fong Hao grabbed her. "This brat doesn't know what's good for him. Why do you care so much about him?" "But," Fong Mi moved her lips. No matter how much they disliked Yi Chen, their grandfather had told them to take good care of him. If anything happened to him, they would not be able to answer to their grandfather. "Don't worry." Fong Hao shook his head. There was a hint of gloating in his eyes when he looked at Yi Chen. "I know how to control this. It's good to let him suffer a little, lest he thinks that I'm lying to him." He had warned Yi Chen in the car earlier that Hong Kong was different from mainland China. He told Yi Chen to keep a low profile, but he did not expect Yi Chen to ignore him. Fong Mi wanted to say something, but hesitated. Eventually, she chose to watch from the sidelines. "Never mind. I'll let you suffer some losses so that you can see the reality. Meanwhile, The hunk called Tiger slapped Yichun. A disdainful smirk appeared at the corner of his lips. Kneel, brat. To him, a weak brat like Yichun could break his shoulder with a single slap. Meanwhile, Yichun did not move at all, as if he was scared out of his wits. Brother Elephant sneered. "Pa!" The sound of a heavy slap rang out. Tiger let out a blood-curdling scream as his entire body was sent flying, directly smashing into the ground, causing it to shake violently. Seeing this scene, everyone was instantly petrified, as if they were statues, and the expressions on their faces froze one after another. One slap, just one slap. The tiger was sent flying. How was this possible? Fong Hao rubbed his eyes and exclaimed in disbelief. Fong Mi's little mouth opened slightly. She was a little shocked. She didn't expect that the ordinary person in her eyes not only dared to fight back, but also sent the tiger flying with a slap. One had to know that Brother Elephant's subordinates were all outlaws, and they were existences that could take on 10 people at once. Pa! 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 Brother Elephant suddenly clapped his hands, his face extremely gloomy. Not bad. No wonder you dare to look down on me. Turns out you're a martial artist. His seemingly complimentary tone concealed a murderous intent. That's right, it was killing intent. If he only wanted to give Yichun a warning earlier, he really wanted to kill Yichun now. Yichun's action was equivalent to slapping him in the face. Thinking to this point, he took off his coat, revealing his strong and sturdy muscles. Although they were not as exaggerated as those of Tiger, they gave off a sense of power. It was as if every muscle on his body could explode with immeasurable power. Brat, do you dare to spar with me? As he spoke, he pinched his neck, making a crackling sound. As long as you can defeat me, I'll let you go today. How about it? As soon as he said that, Fong Hao and Fong Mi's expressions changed. They were well aware of his strength. This brother elephant was the disciple of Sun Yi An's red flower double rod, Yin Tai. The so-called red flower twin rods were the most capable fighters in Sun Yin, and this Yin Tai was extremely proficient in Baguazhong. With a palm strike, he could slap an iron nail into a wooden board, and his hand would still be fine. Since his master was so powerful, one could imagine how powerful Brother Elephant's disciple was. Yichun would definitely die if he were to fight him. Brother Elephant. Fong Mi stood up immediately and said while looking pale, "How can my friend be your match?" However, she heard Yichun say coldly before she was done speaking, "You alone aren't enough. Come at me together." The entire corridor fell into dead silence. Fong Mi swallowed what she was going to say. Disbelief filled her eyes when she looked at Yichun. "Hey, are you crazy?" "Crazy. He's really crazy." Fong Hao could not stop shaking his head. "Brother Elephant alone is enough to give you a hard time. How dare you ask them to come at me together? You must be tired of living." "Sure, I'll fulfill your wish." Brother Elephant laughed out of rage and shouted, "All of you, go at him. Remember, don't kill him. Break his limbs first." As his voice fell, he roared and threw a punch at Yichun's head. At the same time, the other 3 hunks charged at Yichun. "He's dead meat." Fong Hao seemed to have seen Yichun's ending. Fong Mi could not help but close her eyes. Facing the attacks of 4 people, Yichun stretched his arm out and grabbed Brother Elephant's fist. Brother Elephant's expression changed instantly because he realized that Yichun's strength was great. It was like a pair of iron pincers that held him tightly. He could not fight back at all. The next moment, he only felt a piercing pain in his fist, and the pain made him kneel on the ground subconsciously. Brother Elephant. The 3 of them had a change of expression as they attacked Yichun immediately. "All of you kneel." Yichun shook his head lightly and released a pressure. As soon as the pressure was released, the 3 of them knelt before him. They could not move at all. At that moment, Fong Hao and Fong Mi looked like they had just seen a ghost. They could not believe what they were seeing. Who exactly are you?" Brother Elephant knelt before Yichun. His face was contorted from the pain, and he was secretly shocked. He knew that he had encountered a tough opponent. Yichun looked down at him in a condescending manner. There was no emotion on his face at all. "I'm someone that you guys can't afford to offend. Why you dare to touch me? Do you know who I am?" Brother Elephant's eyes were filled with resentment as he attempted to talk about his background. Fong Hao immediately scolded Yichen upon hearing that. Let go of Brother Elephant now. Do you want to die? His master is Yin Tai. Yin Tai, is it? Yichen sat down and said calmly, I'll give you a chance. Get your master out here, too. What did you say? Brother Elephant could not believe his ears. Is this brat out of his mind? How dare he ask me to get help? Moreover, he's asking my master. One must know that although he was Yin Tai's disciple, he did not learn much from Yin Tai. Although that was the case, he almost defeated the entire Tsim Sha Sui. One could tell how terrifying his master, Yin Tai, was. Yi Chun, don't do anything rash. Fong Mi could no longer hold it in. Yin Tai is Sun Yi on Guild's safflower rods. Even my grandpa has to respect him. I'll give you half an hour. Yi Chun let go of Brother Elephant and said nonchalantly, If your master doesn't come in half an hour, all of you will die. Sure. Brother Elephant took a deep breath in and took out his phone while shaking. He dialed a number. Master, someone beat me up. The person asked for you by name. It's at the Hungrue Hotel in Tsim Sha Su. Sure. Brother Elephant had a grin on his face after hanging up the phone. Brat, my master will be here soon. You're dead. Yi Chun, you've made a big deal out of this. Run now. Fong Mi stomped her foot hard. He can't run. Fong Hao stopped her immediately. He's the one who caused this. What if Master Yin is mad at us if he runs? Brat, as long as you kneel and kowtow to me 3 times now, I'll beg for mercy for you when my master is here. Brother Elephant scoffed. However, Yi Chun smiled in disdain. Upon seeing that, Fong Mi scoffed and said nothing more. She secretly made up her mind that she would bring up the old master of the Fong family when Yin Tai arrived and see if he could beg for mercy for Yi Chun. Fong Hao looked at Yi Chun like he was looking at a dead man. Time passed by slowly. Approximately 20 minutes later, a loud shout came from downstairs. Who dares to hurt my disciple? P.S. That's the end of today's update for the 3rd chapter. Thank you for your support. I remember that there's going to be a new chapter. It's the middle of the month. Be patient. Chapter 376. Fong Mi and Fong Hao were shocked. Small say. Before this, Yi Chun had clearly encountered Sun Yi, On Guild's leader, Wang Long. How is he not dead? Instead, he appeared at the party safe and sound. Yi Chun said, Are you guys surprised that I'm not dead? How could you be fine? Also, why are you here? Until now, Fong Mi still could not believe what she was seeing. Fong Hao couldn't help but sneer. Is there a need to say it? This kid must have snuck in. One had to know that the requirements to attend this cruise banquet were very high. Even the Fong family didn't have the qualifications. In the end, they had to rely on their relationship with the Zhu family's eldest daughter to get 2 invitations. Fong Hao, who is he? At that moment, the lady in the red dress who was walking at the front turned her head to look at Yi Chun. Sister Hui, he's our friend. Fong Mi said immediately. We have no idea how he got in here. I'll chase him away now. The woman in front of him was Zhu Hui, the daughter of the Zhu family of Hong Kong. She was also Lord Lei's admirer. She turned to look at Yi Chun after saying that. Although I don't know why you're here, I advise you to leave now. This isn't a place you should be. She did not mean to look down on Yi Chun. Instead, she was genuinely concerned about his safety. After all, the ball was organized by young Master Lei. One could imagine what would happen to Yi Chun if he was found to have skipped the ticket. Yi Chun smiled lightly at what she said. Thank you for your kindness, but I don't think that's necessary. Fong Mi's expression changed. Just when she was going to say something, Zhu Hui, who was next to her, said coldly, All right, there's no need to waste time on such a person. Follow me to see young Master Lei. All right. Fong Mi hesitated for a moment before leaving with Zhu Hui. Why do you think this kid is fine? You should know that his previous actions have offended Sun Yi and Fong Hao asked puzzledly as he walked. Fong Mi frowned. I have no idea. Could it be that before Brother Long came upstairs, this kid secretly jumped off the building and ran away in advance, which is why he's fine? Fong Hao guessed. Yes, that must be it. He nodded in certainty without waiting for Fong Mi's reply. This brat is really bold. Doesn't he know that Brother Long is also invited to the ball? When he meets Brother Long, he'll know how powerful he is. Meanwhile, a man and two women were sitting in a VIP room on the third floor of the banquet hall. One of them was a young man who was kneeling on the seat of honor with a glass of red wine in his hand. As he swirled the wine glass, the young man faintly exuded a domineering aura. Sitting opposite him was a young girl in a white kimono. The young girl was extremely beautiful, and her hair was tied up in a bun. Her waist was slender, and her temperament was refined. She inadvertently revealed a charm that could charm all living things. At this moment, the young girl was kneeling in front of the tea table, extremely focused and serious as she brewed tea. Her movements were abnormally proficient and meticulous. Beside him stood a middle-aged man with a mustache and a katana in a loose kimono. The middle-aged man's arrogant eyes kept sizing up the scene in the banquet hall. The fragrance of tea permeated the room. The young girl picked up the teapot and poured the tea into the teacup. Subsequently, she stood up and bowed to the young man on the seat of honor. "Young Master Lei, please." Clap, clap, clap. Young Master Lei clapped and said, "I can't believe that not only is Ms. Chiba Yoshiko beautiful, but you're also well-versed in the tea ceremony. A small cup of tea contains the 4 rules and 7 principles." He picked up the teacup and took a sip after speaking. He could not help but praise, "Great tea. If I'm not mistaken, Ms. Yoshiko's tea brewing technique originated from Master Yukimura. Am I right?" "That's right." Chiba Yoshiko smiled lightly and sat down again. "Master Yukimura has been involved in the tea ceremony for many years. I asked him when the cherry blossoms bloomed last year." She said in all seriousness as she spoke to this point, "I'd like to ask Master Yukimura about the tea ceremony after bringing the ghost chrysanthemum and the foreign fragment back to Hong Kong this time." Yichin shook his head lightly after watching Fongmi and the rest leave. Just when he was going to open a bottle of red wine on the table next to him, a familiar voice came into his ears. "Sir, please let go of me. I don't think we know each other that well." Yichin looked towards the direction of the voice and saw a graceful lady standing far away. The lady's skin was as fair as the moon, and her features were alluring. However, there was impatience on her face at the moment. The reason being a foreign man with blonde hair and blue eyes was blocking her way. The man was tall and extremely handsome. His blonde hair seemed to be bathing in the glow. Yichin was rather surprised to see the lady. The reason being, it was Dai Shiyu. She was the one he had encountered on the passenger ship earlier. At the same time that Yichan was looking at Dai Shiyu, she turned her head and noticed him too. She was stunned at first, then she pushed the blonde man away hard and walked to Yichin quickly. "Hubby," Dai Shiyu called out sweetly and hugged Yichin's arm. She rested her head on his shoulder like a little bird. Yichin's expression froze. He wanted to push her away by instinct, but he realized that she was hugging him tightly. She was even giving him a pleading look. At that moment, the blonde man walked over too. A strange gleam flashed through his eyes when he saw how intimate Dai Shiyu and Yichin were. Subsequently, he smiled in an extremely gentlemanly manner and spoke in fluent Chinese. "Ms. Dai, I can't believe that you're married at such a young age. I was rude earlier." It's all right, Dai Shiyu said immediately. The blonde man looked at Yichin and said, "Sir, let me introduce myself. My name is William. I apologize for offending your wife earlier." He extended his hand to Yichin after saying that. However, Yichin ignored him and said coldly, "Since you know that you've offended me, you should get out of my sight now." "Sorry." The blonde man's smile froze, and he turned around to leave. Yichin then looked at Dai Shiyu. "Let go of me." Dai Shiyu snapped back to her senses and let go of his arm immediately. She said while blushing, "I'm very sorry, Mr. Yi. I didn't mean it. That guy kept pestering me earlier. I had no choice but to come to you. It won't happen again." Yichin shook his head lightly and looked at the blonde man far away, as if he was in deep thought. He had no idea if it was an illusion, but he sensed a hint of blood from the man. This is getting more and more interesting. He chuckled softly. Dai Shiyu asked curiously after noticing that he was no longer mad, "Mr. Yi, why are you here?" Until now, she was still recalling the scene where Yi Chun killed the 2 ninjas in a domineering manner at sea. She thought she would never see him again. Never had she thought that they would meet again by chance. I'm here to take a look. Yichen smiled lightly. Daishiyu rolled her eyes. She stopped asking after noticing that he was unwilling to talk about it. However, she could not help but take a good look at him with her beautiful eyes. She had no idea what was going on. Her cheeks suddenly flushed. Chapter 377. In the VIP room on the third floor of the banquet hall, the young master squinted his eyes and looked surprised. Ms. Yoshiko, is the Chiba family interested in the ghost chrysanthemum and the foreign fragment too? Of course. Chiba Yoshiko's voice was cold. The ghost chrysanthemum belongs to Japan, and only Japan knows how to use it. As for the foreign fragment, it's a request from the Divine General. Actually, there was something she didn't say. Today, she learned that the two ninjas of the Kusakabe clan were suddenly killed by a mysterious person when they were chasing the leader of Shinyan, and the fragment in Wang Long's hand also disappeared. Although the Kusakabe family managed to find the video of the battle, they still couldn't see the mysterious man's face clearly. Whenever they tried to see the man clearly, there would be electric waves on the screen. Her other task was to find out the identity of the mysterious man. At this moment, a man in a suit knocked on the door of the room, walked to young Master Lei and whispered. Young Master Lei was shocked. I didn't expect the foreign fragment to attract so many experts. Young Master Lei, could it be that those people are here as well? Chiba Yoshiko frowned slightly. Not bad. Young Master Lei nodded slightly. Earl William from England, Marva from Russia, and Ake from ancient Egypt are here too. Miss Yoshiko, it seems like you guys are under a lot of pressure. Chiba Yoshiko narrowed her eyes. These people were all ranked on the world ranking and had unparalleled battle prowess. With the competition from all sides, it would be difficult for the Chiba family to complete the Kusakabe family's orders. Thinking of this, she could not help but look at the middle-aged man holding the katana, only to see that the middle-aged man was staring intently at a woman below. Chiba Yoshiko and young Master Lei looked by instinct. They happened to see Yi Chun and Daishiyu in the crowd. Mr. Lei smiled faintly. No Koen has taken a fancy to this girl? Do you want me to ask her to come see you now? No need. No Koen reluctantly looked away from Daishiyu. He licked his lips and said, in your Chinese words, the easier it is to get something, the more boring it is. Watanabe no, will conquer her myself. Young Master Lei shook his head and smiled. Noticing that Chiba Yoshiko could not stop staring at Yi-chan, he could not help but ask, do you like this man, Ms. Yoshiko? No. Chiba Yoshiko shook her head. I just feel like I've seen it somewhere before. As soon as he said that, young Master Lei could not help but take a good look at Yi-chan. Subsequently, he said, while smiling, there's no energy wave or mysterious chi on this man. He doesn't look like an awakened one either. He should be an ordinary person. Chiba Yoshiko nodded slightly and immediately looked at Watanabe no. No Koen, William, and the others are also here. Are you confident? Miss, don't worry. Although these three people are strong, I, Watanabe no, am not weak either. Furthermore, I have already walked my own path from katana. No Koen was awe-inspiring and fearless. Katana? Upon hearing that, Mr. Lei said in surprise, isn't the katana from Tanamura? No Koen has learned it before? Young Master Lei, you don't know. No Koen's teacher is the sword master Miyamoto Take, and Miyamoto Take is said to be one of the people closest to becoming a sword saint in the Japanese sword Dao. Chiba Yoshiko could not help but laugh and said, the sword Dao inheritance in Japan isn't as closed as in China. We pay attention to sparring in the early days. Miyamoto Take has once defeated the strongest powerhouse in Tanamura. According to the agreement, he obtained the cultivation method of katana and passed it to his disciples. Mr. Lei came to a realization. I see. My master is the descendant of sword Saint Miyamoto Musashi. No Koen smiled proudly. A few decades ago, my master came to China alone with a sword and killed 3,600 people. In the end, he honed his sword Dao. 3 martial Dao masters from China surrounded my master, but they were still killed with a single sword. His face was filled with bloodthirst and disdain, as if what Miyamoto Take did back then was a great honor. Mr. Lei knew what he said decades ago. Not only was he not angry, but he even said with a smile, "Within 10 years, Master Miyamoto will be the sword saint." Of course, No Kuin scoffed. "Your Chinese sword Dao has fallen a long time ago. To me, the so-called martial Dao master is just a matter of one sword." However, Mr. Lei shook his head. "No Kuin, you're not from China, so you don't know what's going on in China. Recently, there have been 2 sword Dao masters in China. The first one is the unparalleled sword. He's only 18 years old, but he has defeated many sword Dao masters." No Kuin remained arrogant. "They're just a bunch of trash. What's so difficult about defeating them? If they encounter me, Watanabe Yi, they won't even have the chance to draw their swords. Only unquestionable Jian knows some sword Dao. What if I tell you that unquestionable Jian was killed by the second sword Dao master, Mad Southern Yi?" Mr. Lei said wryly. "Mad Southern Yi?" The arrogance on Watanabe Ye's face was gone. Instead, there was seriousness on his face. "Although it's my first time in China, I've heard of Mad Southern Yi. I know that he's the #1 in China. I admire his ability, but I'm not convinced by his sword Dao." Chiba Yoshiko, who was standing aside, looked at him in shock. She did not expect him to be so humble for the first time. On the other hand, disdain flashed through Mr. Lei's eyes when he heard that Mad Southern Yi was the #1 in China. "It's unfortunate that I can't stay here for long." No Kuin shook his head lightly, seeming to be disappointed. "Otherwise, I like to go to China and ask Mad Southern Yi to teach me sword Dao. I'll show him what real sword Dao is." In the banquet hall, Yichin suddenly lifted his head and looked upstairs. Daishi was confused. "Mr. Yi, what are you looking at?" "I'm not looking at anything." Yichin looked away and looked like he was in deep thought. He sensed a few eyes on him earlier. There was even a spiritual power among them. There are spiritual cultivators in the West too? He thought to himself. At that moment, a commotion came from the main entrance of the banquet hall. It seemed like someone important had arrived. Subsequently, someone said, "It's Ms. Tang and young Master Shun. It's Ms. Tang and young Master Shun." Subsequently, a man and a lady walked in while being surrounded by people. The lady wore a light yellow corset dress. She had a cold aura, and her beauty was stunning. She attracted everyone's attention as soon as she appeared. Meanwhile, there was a young man in a long robe next to her. He was dressed in a retro style, like an ancient scholar. He had an elegant aura, but his identity made people feel like fainting. He was the son of Shun Tiannan, the leader of Hong Kong's southern sect. He was the successor of the Spell World's legend. Meanwhile, he had inherited Shun Tiannan's legacy. He had dominated Hong Kong's spell world at the age of 25. Even the older generation was overshadowed by him. Yichin was slightly stunned the moment he saw the lady in the long dress. Yichin was slightly stunned. How could it be her? She was Tang Ning, whom he had met when he went to Ba County to look for the Sky Stone after participating in the Tiananmen martial competition. Back then, she had brought a feng shui master with her to pay respects to her ancestors. In reality, she was trying to remove the tomb poison in her body through feng shui. In the end, they encountered zombies in the Tang family's ancestral tomb. Yichin killed the zombies and saved their lives. Never had he thought that Tang Ning would ask him for an explanation because of that. If not for the feng shui master's pleading, Tang Ning would have died. Yichin had almost killed her. Seemingly sensing Yichin's gaze, Tang Ning looked over by instinct. The smile on her face froze. Chapter 378. Night fell. The Mong Kok district in Kowloon, Hong Kong was crowded at the moment. Countless snacks were placed on both sides of the street, and the entire street was filled with the aroma of all sorts of food. Yichin walked out of shop with a few packets of packaged Zai noodles. He ate one of them and put the rest into his storage ring. He considered it a gift for his family, especially Meng Meng, who loved to eat. There were many snacks in the storage ring, such as fish eggs, fried wine, and the like. They were considered the more famous snacks in Hong Kong. It was rare for him to be in Hong Kong, so he could not help but linger around the food and snacks. He could not help but feel emotional. The difference between China and Hong Kong was huge, be it in terms of culture, economy, or consumption level. It was no wonder that Hong Kong was known as the Pearl of the Orient, a paradise for food and shopping. It was unfortunate that he did not bring Yuhan and her daughter along. Yichen was in between tears and laughter. His daughter loved to eat, so it was perfect for her to come here. Moreover, as a woman, Yuhan should have a shopping instinct in her. It seemed like he should get himself a villa in Hong Kong. Yichen made up his mind. He was going to look for a hotel to rest after finishing the Che Zai noodles in his hand. However, his phone rang at that moment. "Mr. Yi, there's a ball on a cruise at 9 p.m. tonight. Would you like to join it?" Wang Long asked over the phone. Yichen squinted. "A ball on a cruise? That's right. It's a luxury yacht that's docked at the Victoria Harbor. The organizer is preparing for the auction tomorrow night. They want everyone to interact with each other in advance. I'll join it." Yichen agreed to it without thinking when he heard that it was related to the auction. After all, he was there for the 9-section Soul Herb at the auction. "Sure, where are you? I'll pick you up myself." Half an hour later, a Lincoln limousine drove into the Victoria Harbor slowly. Yichen and Wang Long got out of the car. A luxurious cruise ship came into view. It was dazzling in the night like a bright pearl. Meanwhile, many well-dressed people next to Yi Chun boarded the ship one after another. "Mr. Yi, this cruise is called the Thunder Toad. It weighs over 50,000 tons and can carry 3,000 passengers at most. The facilities inside are so luxurious that it's like a garden on land," Wang Long introduced. Yichen was surprised. Thunder Toad? What a strange name. The reason why it's called Thunder Toad is because the owner of this cruise is the son of the Thunder King, young Master Thunder. He's also the organizer of this ball, so I named it Thunder Toad. Yichen was stunned when he heard that. Subsequently, he said with interest, "Thunder King? A lightning Dharmaraja that can cast lightning? Mr. Yi, have you never heard of the Thunder King?" Wang Long looked at him in surprise, then said with a smile, "In Hong Kong, there are two people you can't mess with. The first is the Thunder King, and the second is Master Shun. Even the governor of Hong Kong has to curry favor with these two people." "Why?" Yichen asked. "The Thunder King is a person, not some thunder god," Wang Long said with some fear. "It's said that his surname is Lei. There aren't many rumors about him, but this person existed when Hong Kong was ruled by the British. At that time, he was the highest-ranking person in the Chinese community. He was even summoned by the Queen of England many times." Yichen asked again, "What about the so-called Master Shun?" "Master Shun's name is Shun Tianan." Wang Long took a deep breath in and said, "He's a legend in Hong Kong's spell world. He's also the #1 in feng shui. He's an expert in fortune-telling, physiognomy, yin and yang, and even knows how to cast spells. It's not an exaggeration to say that he's omnipotent." He paused as he spoke to this point. "I had the honor to meet Master Shun when I was young. Back then, there was a black magic master who swept through Hong Kong's spell world. Master Shun was forced to show up, but all Master Shun did was wave his sleeve and put the black magic master into his sleeve directly." He secretly sighed. Although he was the person in charge of Sun Yeon Guild, while Sun Yeon Guild and 14K did whatever they wanted in Hong Kong, that was because they did not touch the interests of these two bosses. Otherwise, they would have been killed any time. Yichen's eyes lit up when he heard that. Universe in one sleeve? Perhaps to Wang Long and the rest, such a technique was no different from a god's technique. However, it was nothing to Yichen. Meanwhile, the Thunder King and Master Shun are equally famous. Judging from that, the Thunder King's technique isn't inferior to Master Shun's, Wang Long added. "Let's go." Yichen chuckled softly and took the lead to board the ship. Many people passed by them one after another. Most of them were young ladies who were dressed in revealing clothes. "I can't believe that even Guan Yuehe is here," Wang Long exclaimed. Guan Yuehe was the most popular female celebrity in Hong Kong in recent years. She had won so many awards that her hands were cramping. Her appearance fees were easily tens of millions. Even with her status, she was eager to attend the banquet tonight. One could tell that the banquet was extraordinarily grand. Everyone took out their invitation cards when they passed the security. They were only allowed to go through the guards' thorough checks and all sorts of body searches. Yichen was slightly more interested in the ball on the cruise when he saw that. He was also curious about the Thunder King's son, who was also the organizer of the ball. After all, the people who came to attend the ball were either rich or powerful. If the organizer was not powerful enough, it would be difficult to suppress them. Wang Long handed Yi Chun the invitation card and let him in. Although Yi Chun was prepared, he was still stunned by the luxurious banquet hall. Before him was a super hall that occupied over 5,000 square meters. The European-style chandelier above his head was extremely luxurious. There were many banquets far away, and the intense fragrance of alcohol filled the entire hall. Countless extravagantly dressed people with extraordinary auras gathered in groups of 3 to 5. There were Asians, whites, blacks. There were people of almost all skin colors. Wang Long said to Yi Chun as soon as they entered, "Mr. Yi, I'm going to meet a few friends. Would you like to come with me?" "No need." Yi Chun shook his head lightly. He began strolling around the banquet hall aimlessly after parting ways with Wang Long. His ordinary attire did not fit in with the people around him, so he attracted many people's attention at the moment. He did not mind that at all. When he walked straight to the leisure area and was about to sit down to rest, a group of people walked over. The leader was a lady who was dressed meticulously like a lily that was trying to attract bees and butterflies. When the lady passed by Yi Chun, a lady in a white chiffon dress behind her suddenly stopped. A lady in a white chiffon dress behind her suddenly stopped and looked at Yi Chun in disbelief. "Why are you here?" The lady was Fong Hao, who was dressed formally next to her, noticed Yi Chun too upon hearing what she said. He revealed an expression as if he had just seen a ghost. "You're not dead? P.S. There are 2 more chapters. I'll post them when I'm done." Chapter 379. Everyone had their eyes on a young man on the 3rd floor. He wore a black tuxedo and had long, flowing hair. He was not considered handsome, but he had a mature aura about him. His gaze casually swept across the crowd, and no one dared to look him in the eye. Many of the girls in the crowd met his gaze, and they could only feel their hearts thumping nonstop. The young man walked down one step after another. "Young Master Lei." "Greetings, young Master Lei." Be it the rich or the young masters, they made way for the young man as soon as they saw him. They greeted him with a smile. "Mr. Yi, he's the Thunder King's son, Lei Can," Wang Long said with a serious expression. Yi Chun glanced at Lei Can and secretly nodded. Although he had never seen the legendary Thunder King, he could roughly tell from Lei Can's appearance. However, that was all. He chuckled softly and picked up his glass to drink while eating the pastries on the table. On the other hand, Fong Hao and Fong Mi, who were standing aside, were looking at Lei compassionately. Fong Mi looked like she was infatuated. Young Master Lei is a true young talent. The others are nothing compared to him. Fong Hao felt like there was a fishbone stuck in his throat. Fong Hao felt as if there was a fishbone stuck in his throat. His heart was filled with jealousy and envy. Even so, he couldn't deny that whether it was in terms of aura, skill, or family background, Lei Can was 10 streets ahead of him. Even Dai Shiyu could not help but have a gleam flash through her eyes. The entire banquet hall fell into silence at that moment. Lei Can said while smiling calmly, "First of all, I'd like to thank everyone for coming to the ball tonight. I, Lei Can, am honored. The purpose of this ball is to make it easier for everyone to communicate." A disdainful voice came from below just when he was speaking. "Are you here to eat and drink? You're like a country bumpkin who has never seen the world." The voice interrupted Lei Can. Everyone secretly frowned and could not help but look toward the direction of the voice. They thought to themselves, "Who's so bold?" They saw Yi Chin's table as soon as they looked. It was Fong Hao who had spoken earlier. Zhu Hui, who was among the crowd, shouted coldly, "Fong Hao, what's wrong with you?" Fong Hao's face turned pale when he saw everyone looking at him in an unfriendly manner. He hurriedly explained, "Young Master Lei, I'm sorry. That's not what happened." He stretched his arm out and pointed at Yi Chun as he spoke. "It's this brat. He was eating and drinking when you were talking. He seemed to be disrespecting you. I couldn't help it, so I said that." He hated Yi Chun to death now. The people could not help but look at Yi Chun. As expected, they saw that most of the pastries on his table had been eaten. At that moment, they revealed a disdainful expression. The reason why they came to the ball tonight was not to communicate with each other, but to build a good relationship with Child Lei. In the end, there really were people who came to eat and drink. What country bumpkin? Dai Shiyu, who was sitting next to Yi Chun, covered her face with her hands immediately. She seemed to think that it was rather embarrassing to sit with him. Wang Long smiled bitterly. Brat, what do you take this place for? Someone glared at Yi Chun coldly with an unfriendly gaze. Yi Chun smiled calmly. We're either here to dance or to eat and drink. Is there anything wrong with what I'm doing? He had tasted a piece of pastry earlier and thought it tasted great. He secretly put some into his storage ring, planning to bring it back for his daughter. Never had he thought that Fong Hao would target him. That person was speechless at that moment. Fong Hao said again, Young Master Lei, this brat doesn't seem to have an invitation. He must have sneaked in. I suggest we chase him out. The crowd gasped as soon as that was said. Laken also looked a little unhappy. Young Master Lei, I was the one who brought Mr. Yi here. I was the one who gave him the invitation. Wang Long, who was standing aside, stood up and explained despite the pressure. Fong Mi revealed an expression as if she had expected it to happen. Uncle Wang, you don't have to do that. Laken smiled warmly. Since this brother is here to attend the ball tonight, it means that he's qualified to do so. Moreover, what he said earlier was right. He's either here to eat or to dance. Let the ball begin. He clapped his hands, and the entire banquet hall was filled with a burst of pleasant light music. Many people danced with their partners. Fong Hao glanced at Dai Shiyu and stood up. Ms. Dai, can I have a dance with you? I'm sorry, but I'm not feeling well. Dai Shiyu rejected him decisively. The smile on Fong Hao's face froze. He could only suppress his rage secretly and sit back down. However, he was thinking about how to get Dai Shiyu's heart. At that moment, William, the blond young man from before, walked to the table where Yi Chun and the rest were. He performed an extremely gentlemanly invitation to Dai Shiyu. Ms. Dai, I wonder if I have the honor to dance with you? He glanced at Yi Chun in a provocative manner as he spoke to this point. Sir, your girlfriend is very beautiful. Do you mind if I do this? Before Yi Chun could speak, Dai Shiyu spoke first. I mind. That's too bad. William smiled in disappointment. He turned his eyes to Fong Mi, who was looking at him eagerly. What about you, ma'am? I'm willing. Fong Mi's heart skipped a beat, and she agreed immediately. It was hard for her to resist William's handsomeness and politeness. The duo walked to the dance floor while holding hands. A bug landed on Yi Chen's shoulder quietly. On the third floor of the banquet hall, Tang Ning looked down from above. She had her eyes on Yi Chun, and her expression kept changing. Young Master Shun, who was standing beside Bess, saw everything that had happened. Without batting an eyelid, he smiled and said, Bess, shall we go down and have a dance? No, go ahead. Tang Ming shook her head lightly. Young Master Shun secretly frowned and subsequently walked down. He invited a lady and joined the dance floor as countless people watched enviously. In another room, Chiba Yoshiko was also looking at Yi Chun. She looked back and forth between him and Wang Long. She seemed to have recalled something all of a sudden and said coldly, So it's him. Who is he, miss? No Koen, who was standing aside, was looking down too. However, he had his eyes on Dai Shiyu. Chiba Yoshiko enunciated word for word. It's this Chinese who killed the Kuzuke clan's 2 ninjas. He's also the one who saved Sun Yi on Guild's leader, Wang Long. She did not think about it when she saw Yi Chen earlier. She only thought that his physique was a little familiar. However, when she saw Wang Long walking very close to him, she realized something. However, she finally recognized him after seeing Wang Long walking close to him. What? No Kuan squinted and his expression changed. He's the person in the battle video? That's impossible, right? Young Master Lei said that there's no cultivation base coming from this person. He's just an ordinary person. Do you want me to capture him and interrogate him? He was getting up as he spoke. No Kuan, wait. Chiba Yoshiko stopped him. This is young Master Lei's territory. Don't act recklessly in public. We need to come up with a plan. However, I can test him before that. She got up and walked out of the room after saying that. Meanwhile, Tang Ning walked down as well. She attracted many people's attention as soon as she appeared. However, Tang Ning did not care at all. Instead, she led Mr. Yao to Yi Chen's table. As everyone watched in shock, Tang Ning smiled lightly. She said to Yi Chen while looking at him, "Sir, may I have a dance with you?" Chapter 380. As soon as Tang Ning was done speaking, the entire hall fell into silence. The entire hall fell into silence at that moment. Everyone looked at her and Yi Chen in utter shock. Tang Ning was known as one of the top 10 beauties in Hong Kong. In fact, she ranked number 1. No matter if it was her elegance or beauty, she was not weak. However, nobody dared to do anything to her because everyone knew that Master Shen's son, Shun Xingye, was in love with Tang Ning. Meanwhile, Tang Ning did not care about men at all. It was her first time inviting the opposite sex to dance. It was not young Master Shun who had been pursuing her, but an ordinary man. How could they not be surprised? Meanwhile, the smile on young Master Shun's face froze on the dance floor. Rage flashed through his eyes, but it was replaced by a gentle smile. Yi Chen secretly frowned at Tang Ning's invitation. He had no idea what she was planning, but he nodded and said, "Sure, you have 1,000 tricks up your sleeves. I'll break them with a punch." That was his confidence. Just when he was going to get up, another commotion came from the hall. Subsequently, a young lady in a loose white kimono and wooden clogs walked over slowly. "It's Miss Chiba Yoshiko." "What? Young Master Lei actually invited her here?" One must know that the Chiba family is known as one of the top 10 consortiums in Japan. Miss Chiba Yoshiko is a famous beauty. Everyone looked at Chiba Yoshiko blankly. Even Tang Ning seemed to be overshadowed by her. Chiba Yoshiko did not seem to notice that. She walked to Yi Chen slowly while twisting her slender waist. She said to Yi Chen elegantly, "Sir, may I have a dance with you?" Gasp. The crowd gasped as disbelief filled their eyes. Another invitation. Why were the young mistress of the wealthy Tang family and the daughter of the Japanese consortium, Chiba Yoshiko, fighting to invite an ordinary person to dance? Had the world gone mad? Damn it, what's so good about this guy? Why is he so popular with women? Fong Hao could no longer hide the envy and jealousy in his eyes. First, it was Dai Shiyu, then it was Tang Ning, and finally, it was Chiba Yoshiko. Each of them was one in a million. Young Master Lei, who was standing far away, took a good look at Yi Chen. He realized that he could no longer see through this person. At that moment, everyone looked at Yi Chen. There were too many emotions in their eyes. There was disdain, shock, and speculation. Yi Chen glanced at the smiling Chiba Yoshiko, who looked like she had just walked out of a fairy tale. He said in his deep voice, "I'm sorry, but I'm Chinese. I don't dance with Japanese." With that, he got up and walked to the dance floor. Chiba Yoshiko was slightly stunned. She had always prided herself on being a beauty, and even in Japan, she had countless suitors. However, she had been rejected, and the reason was so harsh. Tang Ning glanced at her as if she was showing off. She then walked to the dance floor and danced the cha-cha with Yi Chen. Their perfect cooperation made everyone cheer. Fong Hao was in disbelief. He thought that Yi Chen was just a country bumpkin. He was prepared to see Yi Chen embarrass himself because he did not know how to dance. Never had he thought that Yi Chen would dance better than him. As the music changed, the dance changed again. Tang Ning placed her hand on Yi Chen's arm and looked at him wryly. She said softly, "Long time no see, Mr. Yi. Long time no see." Yi Chen said coldly, "I missed you so much during this period." Tang Ning proceeded to speak. "You choked me back then and almost killed me. You become my nightmare. I haven't slept well for a month since I returned to Hong Kong. How do you think I should repay you?" "Up to you." Yi Chen chuckled softly as if he was in disdain. "Mr. Yi, I know that you're very powerful. On top of that, you're a legendary martial Dao master. However, do you think that I can't do anything to you?" Tang Ning smiled proudly. "I'm afraid you don't know. Apart from ancient martial artists, there are spell masters in this world. Coincidentally, I know a spell master like Shun Xingye. He became an illuminating god expert at a young age, and he inherited Master Shun's true skills. His techniques are almost illuminating god. Tell me, what will happen to you if I get him to fight you?" Tang Ning glared at Yi Chen as she spoke to this point. Hatred filled her eyes. Yi Chen shrugged. You can get him a try. What? Do you think you're Shin Xingye's match? Do you think your Master Shin's match? Tang Ning smiled in disdain and pouted in a certain direction. Do you see that? I'm guessing that Shin Xingye has been watching you. I believe that you're someone he has to kill even without me saying anything. Yi Chen scanned with his divine consciousness. As expected, he noticed that Shin Xingye was really looking at him from far away. There was a hint of killing intent under his gentle smile. I'll give you a chance now. I'll spare your life as long as you kneel before me. Tang Ning smiled and said, You have to think about it carefully. There's no need to think about it. Yi Chen smiled in disdain. The reason why I didn't kill you back then was for the sake of my old classmate. If you offend me again, I'll definitely kill you. The music stopped and the dance ended. Yi Chen let go of her and returned to his seat. He looked normal as he glanced at Shin Xingye by instinct. Shin Xingye happened to be looking at him too. The gazes of the two of them suddenly met. Shin Xingye smiled at him. Yi Chen nodded to show his respect. 2 hours later, the ball officially ended. Yi Chen led Dai Shiyu and Wang Long out of the cruise. As soon as he got ashore, he saw a lady in a kimono waiting for him with a man holding a katana. Chiba Yoshiko didn't seem to lose her composure after being rejected at all. She still smiled and said, Mr. Yi, can we talk? Wang Long suddenly became nervous. He knew that Chiba Yoshiko had recognized Yi Chen. She also found out that he was the one who killed the 2 ninjas consecutively and took the foreign fragment away. Thinking of this, he could not stop hinting at Yi Chen with his eyes, hinting at him not to agree. This was Hong Kong after all, and he had people under him that definitely would not dare to act recklessly. However, Yi Chen chuckled softly. All right, let's talk. Mr. Yi. Wang Long was in disbelief. It's all right. Yi Chen shook his head lightly and said, You guys can go back first. Meanwhile, Shin Xingye sat in a low-profile black BMW. He watched Yi Chen get into Chiba Yoshiko's car quietly, looking rather terrible. This brat knows that I'm going to kill him, but he knows how to make use of the Japanese's influence. I don't believe that he'll be with them forever. He took out his phone and said to it as he thought to this point, Keep an eye on him. Kill him if you get the chance. Under the night sky, a blond man was holding Fang Mi's hand. He licked his lips as he watched Dai Shiyu leave and mumbled, What a delicious meal. Not only that, she's a virgin. Mr. William, what are you talking about? Fang Mi was confused. William kissed the back of her hand and said in a romantic and gentlemanly manner, My dearest lady, I'm talking about where I'd like to have a candlelight dinner with you tonight. Fang Mi's pretty face blushed. Her heart was in a mess. Chapter 381. Wazita Club. It was a Japanese property in Hong Kong, and it was located in the most developed area, Central. The interior of the clubhouse was decorated according to the Japanese style. The wooden house had paper windows, and the entrance had a stone-like floor. There were Japanese maids wearing kimonos and wooden clogs, standing at the entrance with their long hair tied up. Compared to the extravagance of the clubs in other countries, Japan pursued simplicity and cleanliness. Mr. Yi, please. Chiba Yoshiko bowed slightly with a gentle expression. Yi Chen looked as calm as usual as he walked straight into the clubhouse. He scanned with his divine consciousness and immediately investigated the situation in the clubhouse. A playful grin appeared at the corner of his lips. Who would have thought that there would be over 500 people hidden in a club that took up less than 200 square meters? Moreover, they were all Japanese samurai. His intentions were worthy of death. Seeing that he walked in without thinking, Chiba Yoshiko, who was lagging behind, had a flash of brilliance in her eyes, but she quickly hid it. The group of people entered the wooden house. Please wait for a moment, Mr. Yi. Please allow me to change. Chiba Yoshiko smiled gently at Yi Chen and walked behind the screen. No Kuin removed his wooden clogs and knelt on the tatami in his white stockings. He placed the samurai sword on his legs. There was dense disdain in his eyes when he looked at Yi Chen as he opened and closed his eyes. Yi Chen's expression remained the same, but he was secretly guessing the purpose of Chiba Yoshiko inviting him to the club. Mr. Yi, sorry to keep you waiting. Chiba Yoshiko, who was dressed in a pink kimono and had light makeup on, walked out from behind the screen. She walked very slowly, and her exquisite figure was like a lily swaying in the wind. Compared to before, her current outfit was more stunning. When she passed by Yi Chun, she even brought a fragrant wind with her. It seemed to be the smell of cherry blossoms. "Papa!" Chiba Yoshiko applauded slightly. 3 maidservants in kimonos walked in. The 3 of them were beautiful and knelt next to Yi Chun. They began pouring wine for Yi Chun with a smile on their faces. They were graceful in their actions. Clearly, they were professionally trained. "Mr. Yi, this is Japan's pure rice-stained dragon spring. It comes from Takagi Distillery and has 400 years of brewing history. One bottle costs 350,000 Japanese yen." Chiba Yoshiko raised her glass and smiled. Ichin frowned and said, "Cut the crap. Let's get straight to the point." From the moment he entered the room until now, the other party had changed her clothes to tempt him, and even called a maid to serve him. In his opinion, these methods were extremely laughable. As soon as he said that, a ferocious gleam flashed through Nokuin's eyes as he stood up in rage. A terrifying aura exploded from his body, scaring the few Japanese maids next to Yi Chun so much that they were shaking. Yi Chun chuckled softly and looked playful. "What? You can't hold it in so soon? Have you Japanese men shot too many movies and lost your stamina?" "Baka!" Nokuin flew into a rage and drew his sword. "Nokuin, don't!" Chiba Yoshiko quickly stopped him. Nokuin sat down again. "Since you're a straightforward person, Mr. Yi, I won't hide it from you anymore. Please look at the screen." Seeing that Yi Chun remained calm under Nokuin's suppression, Chiba Yoshiko took a good look at him. Subsequently, she took out a remote control and pressed a button on the screen on the wall. The scene of Yi Chun killing 2 ninjas in the sea appeared on the screen immediately. Wang Long was one of them. However, Yi Chun's facial features were blurry, as if there was a layer of mist blocking his view. "Mr. Yi, may I know if this person is you?" Chiba Yoshiko zoomed in on Yi Chun's image. Yi Chun smiled calmly. "So what if I am? So what if I'm not?" Never had he thought that they would get their hands on his battle video. However, he was not afraid at all. "Mr. Yi, do you know Wang Long, the person in charge of Sun Yeon? He stole something from Japan." Meanwhile, the 2 ninjas in the video went to retrieve the lost item. "I can't believe that they were killed." Chiba Yoshiko continued to brew the tea in her hand. She spoke while making tea. "We found out that Wang Long doesn't have the lost item from Japan. So, I think this person must have taken it." She lifted her eyes to take a good look at Yi Chun with a cold gaze. "If this person is Mr. Yi, I hope that you can return the lost item to Japan. Of course, we can talk about the price. Just name it, Mr. Yi. My Chiba family is one of the top 10 consortiums in Japan. Money isn't a problem." She smiled proudly as she spoke to this point. "As for women, Japan has plenty of them. I'm willing to give you 20 maidservants. I guarantee that they're beautiful and virgins. They've been through strict training since young. I guarantee that you'll be satisfied with them. As long as one was human, they would have flaws and desires, especially men. Power, money, and beauty would always be the 3 greatest poisons." To her, her offer was generous enough. Yi Chun would not reject it. However, Yi Chun laughed out loud. "What are you laughing at, Mr. Yi?" Chiba Yoshiko frowned slightly. Yi Chun shook his head lightly. "I'm laughing at how the Japanese only have these tricks up their sleeves. Not only have you spread the film to our country and poisoned countless people, but now you want to seduce me? Mr. Yi, are you saying that you're not willing to agree?" A hint of coldness flashed through Chiba Yoshiko's eyes, and the smile on her face gradually faded. Meanwhile, Nokuin, who was kneeling at the side, had his hands on his knees. His thumb was placed on the hilt of his sword, as if he was waiting for Chiba Yoshiko's order to kill this damn Chinese pig with a single slash. Yi Chun's expression remained the same as he said, "You said that I took something from Japan earlier. How can you prove that it belongs to Japan?" The auction was just around the corner, and all parties would gather. He believed that there would be many foreign forces like Chiba Yoshiko. The purpose of his visit today was nothing more than to test whether Chiba Yoshiko still had the foreign fragments. Unfortunately, he did not sense the aura of other fragments in Chiba Yoshiko, or this club through his divine awareness. This was also the reason why he did not make a move. He was determined to get his hands on the foreign fragments. Firstly, he wanted to track Night Demon's whereabouts by following the foreign fragments. Secondly, he wanted to collect the pieces of skin so that Night Demon could recover. It belongs to Japan. There's no need for me to prove it. Chiba Yoshiko's tone was getting colder. She was even more certain that Yi-chan was the person in the video now. Since that's the case, there's nothing to talk about. Yi-chan smiled calmly and got up to leave. Where are you going? Nokuin suddenly stood up. The samurai sword in his hand shone with a cold gleam as he slashed at Yi-chan. He was extremely fast. Mr. Yi, Nokuin is a rare sword Dao genius in Japan. If you don't want to die, please hand over the foreign fragments, and I'll let you go. Chiba Yoshiko had a smile at the corner of her lips. She was confident that she would win. She had watched the video of Yi-chan's battle on the ocean no less than 10 times. To her, the two ninjas from the Kyuzukabe clan did not have powerful abilities. If Nokuin were to fight them, he would only need a swing of his sword to kill them. However, Yi-chan had used 2 moves. The difference in strength was clear. P.S. There are 2 more chapters to the first chapter. I'll post them when I'm done. Chapter 382. A sword Dao genius, huh? A disdainful smirk appeared at the corner of Yi-chan's lips as he faced Nokuin's katana that was slashing at him. Subsequently, he extended 2 fingers toward the blade slowly. You're seeking death. Nokuin grinned coldly. He had defeated countless sword Dao geniuses in Japan. Even a veteran sword Dao expert would not dare to underestimate his attack. However, Yi-chan extended 2 fingers. Was he seeking death if he was not seeking death? Mr. Yi, you're too arrogant. Chiba Yoshiko covered her mouth and giggled. Nokuin is the Japanese sword Dao master. Miyamoto takes favorite disciple. You. Her words came to an abrupt halt before she could finish. She saw Yi-chan clamp Nokuin's katana's blade with 2 fingers at a speed that was neither slow nor slow. The blade could not move an inch further. Why? Nokuin could not advance or retreat. He looked horrified. The smile on Chiba Yoshiko's face froze. You call this a sword Dao genius? It seems like Japan is even more trash than I imagined. Yi-chan exerted force with both of his fingers, and the katana shattered into countless pieces. He left after saying that. Bang, bang, bang. Nokuin retreated a few steps back from the recoil. He could not stop staggering. Disbelief filled his eyes when he looked at Yi-chan again. Chiba Yoshiko shouted, Mr. Yi, do you know that you've offended my family and the Kyuzukabe clan, one of the 4 yin-yang master clans in Japan? Kyuzukabe? Why should I, Yi-chan, be afraid of a clan that's rich just by its name? With me in China, there's nothing to be afraid of. Yi-chan did not stop walking. His voice was loud and clear. Stop him, mistress. We must kill this man. Nokuin's expression was ferocious. Humiliation. It was a great humiliation. When had he, Watanabe, ever been humiliated like this? He would become a laughing stock if news of this spread back to Japan. No. However, Chiba Yoshiko shook her head. She mumbled as she watched Yi-chan leave, I've underestimated this man. We can't kill him now because we can't be sure if the foreign fragment is with him. So, we're just going to let it go. Nokuin looked unwilling. Forget it? Chiba Yoshiko's face revealed a look of triumph. I've achieved my goal of testing him. That's enough. We can't deal with him alone. Don't forget that there are still others, such as young Master Lei, young Master Shun, and William, in a villa in the Yunlong district of Hong Kong. Shun Xingye was toasting with a few foreign friends when his phone rang. He picked it up and was silent for a few seconds before smiling warmly. Very well, I don't want this person to live past tonight. Inside the Thunder Frog cruise. After Mr. Thunder dismissed everyone, he tapped his fingers on the table and looked at the young man in front of him in surprise. You mean you saw him follow Chiba Yoshiko into the Wazita Club with your own eyes and come out unscathed? Yes, young master. The young man nodded. That's interesting. Young Master Lei chuckled softly while his eyes could not stop flickering. An ordinary person in my eyes caught the young mistress of the Tang family's attention. Subsequently, he became Chiba Yoshiko's VIP. Both of them even stayed in the club for half an hour. After a moment of silence, he said calmly, "Iron Hand, go and test this man tonight. I'd like to see who exactly he is." Ichin looked disappointed when he walked out of the club. He thought the Japanese would not be able to hold it in and would activate the over 500 Japanese samurai hidden in the house to attack him. However, Chiba Yoshiko did it. One could tell that they were up to something big. "I'd like to see what you guys are up to." Yi-chun mumbled and rushed to the biggest five-star hotel nearby. After getting a room, the waiter brought him to the room on the 5th floor. Just when he sat on the bed, a cry came from next door. "Mr. Fong, what are you trying to do? No, don't come here." Yi-chun frowned slightly upon hearing that voice. He could not help but scan with his divine consciousness. He saw a lady with messy hair lying on the bed in the room next door. The lady's body was limp, while her pretty face was flushed. She looked weak. At that moment, she was looking at the young man before her with fear in her eyes. The young man was dressed like a waiter. He walked to the bed while taking off his clothes. He cursed, "What am I trying to do? EB asterisk TCH? I'm trying to F asterisk CKU, of course. I've tried to be nice to you many times. Forget it that you rejected me. You even flirted with that brat Yi. You'll only regret it when I drug your drink." He tore the lady's clothes violently as he cursed. The dress she was wearing was torn in a few moves. The neckline was wide open, revealing her fair skin. They were Dai Shiyu and Fong Hao. Fong Hao thought that he had played with countless women. However, it was the first time he had played with someone as elegant and pure as Dai Shiyu. Therefore, he was lustful when he first saw Dai Shiyu. However, Dai Shiyu did not give him a chance since Yi-chun was around. He decided to go all out and follow Dai Shiyu to the hotel. He then drugged her drink while pretending to be a waiter. His goal was to get his hands on Dai Shiyu. No, no. Dai Shiyu burst into tears as she sensed the coldness in her body. Despair filled her eyes. "Mr. Fong, I'm Mr. Ye's woman. If you dare to do this to me, he won't let you go." Seeing that Fong Hao was crossing the line, she could only use Yi-chun. Fong Hao froze as soon as he said that. Fong Hao's movements froze, as if he was shocked. However, he immediately sneered. "What bullsh asterisk T, Mr. Yi? He's just a bumpkin from the mainland who knows some martial arts. I wonder what trick he used to trick Wong Long. How dare he act all high and mighty before me?" Meanwhile, his actions became more and more violent. Perhaps he was provoked by Dai Shiyu's words, but not long after, he removed all of Dai Shiyu's equipment, leaving behind only 2 red lace cuties. "Scream all you want. I'm going to make that Yi cuckold." Fong Hao could no longer suppress the smugness in his heart and began to untie his belt. Dai Shiyu was in utter despair. Tears streamed down her cheeks. Could it be that my innocence is going to be taken advantage of by this animal? Bang! At this moment, the door was kicked open from the outside. Fong Hao was shocked. "Who is it?" "It's me." As an extremely cold voice was heard, Yi-chun walked in slowly from outside. There was no emotion on his face at all. "How could it be you?" Fong Hao's expression changed. "Who let you in?" "Mr. Yi, save me." Dai Shiyu burst into tears of joy. Yi-chun glanced at her coldly and eventually had his eyes on Fong Hao. He approached him one step after another. What do you want to do?" "I'm telling you, I'm from the Fong family." Fong Hao took a step back by instinct. He was secretly afraid. He knew that Yi-chun had great skills. One could imagine the consequences if he attacked him. Yi-chun's eyes were cold. "I didn't want to talk to people like you, let alone meddling in your business. However, I can't forgive you for saying that you're going to make me a cuckold. Therefore, I'll sentence you to death." Chapter 383. As soon as Yi-chun was done speaking, "No!" Fong Hao had a drastic change of expression. He turned around and charged at the door as he growled. However, Yi-chun blocked his way in a flash in the next second. He ran in the opposite direction again, but Yi-chun appeared before him like a specter. Plop! Fong Hao looked like he had just seen a ghost. He knelt hard onto the ground and said while his lips were shaking, "Yi-chun, no, Mr. Yi, please let me go." Until now, he finally understood that Yi-chun was no ordinary person. Otherwise, he would not have been so terrifying. No wonder he could defeat Yin Tai. No wonder Wong Long was so respectful to him. Give me a reason not to kill you. Yichen looked at him in a condescending manner. I can be your dog. Fang Hao kowtowed like he was pounding garlic. I can give you anything you want, including the woman on the bed. I've never touched her, bang. However, he turned into a ball of flame before he was done speaking. He then turned into ashes. You're unrepentant. You deserve to die. Yichen shook his head lightly and lifted his head to look at Dai Shiyu, who was on the bed. Fear filled Dai Shiyu's eyes after witnessing Yichen kill Fang Hao like a god. She could not help but turn pale when she saw Yichen stare. She thought Yichen was lusting after her. However, she realized that she did not reject him. Instead, she had an indescribable anticipation. It was a shameful mentality. Yichen did not walk over. Instead, he flicked his finger and spiritual energy shot into her body. He waved his arm, and a hotel bathrobe flew over to wrap her in it. I've removed the drug for you. After saying that, he closed the door and walked out of Dai Shiyu's room, returning to his own room. Is he leaving just like that? Dai Shiyu was slightly stunned. She had been afraid that Yichen would take advantage of her when she was weak. However, she could not accept it after Yichen left. It's better to be with someone like Mr. Yi than to be raped by Fang Hao, right? Such a thought popped into her head all of a sudden. Puffed. She dismissed the thought immediately and buried her head into the cup. Her pretty face was flushed. Sob, why would I have such a thought? It's so embarrassing. In room 521, Yichen closed the door and took out his phone to call Yuhan and his daughter. Subsequently, he sat on the bed with his legs crossed and said in deep thought, the auction will begin tomorrow night. I must get the 9-section soul herb. Whoever stops me will die. It's just that I killed old Master Gu's in-laws. If he finds out the truth, he'll probably vomit blood. Yichen shook his head lightly and closed his eyes to begin cultivating. As for killing Fang Hao, he had no regrets, because Fang Hao's words touched his bottom line. Even if Fang Hao's words were directed at Dai Shiyu, he still couldn't tolerate it. At this moment, someone knocked on the door. Mr. Yi, are you asleep? Yichen opened his divine consciousness and scanned the place. He noticed Dai Shiyu standing at the door in a bathrobe. She bit her lip and would occasionally look at the corridor behind her in fear. What's up? Yichen frowned slightly. It would not be nice for a man and a woman to be alone in a room in the middle of the night to spread. Moreover, Su Yuhan had reminded him time and time again not to flirt with other women before he left. Can I come in and talk? Dai Shiyu said weakly. Eventually, Yichen got off the bed and opened the door. At that moment, Dai Shiyu rushed in immediately. It was too late when he wanted to stop her. He could only say impatiently, Tell me, why are you looking for me? How can I sleep in your room for the night? Dai Shiyu held her head down, her voice as soft as a mosquito's. Yichen was stunned. Dai Shiyu explained immediately, seeming to have noticed the ambiguity in her words. Don't misunderstand me. What I mean is that I don't dare to sleep in a room alone. So, she was really scared when Fang Hao tried to rape her earlier. Moreover, Fang Hao had died in that room. Although there was nothing left of him, girls would always be afraid of that. Eventually, fear took over her restraint. Theoretically, she and Yichen were not a couple, and they had not known each other for long. It was not safe for them to sleep in the same room. However, judging from how Yichen did not rape her earlier, she knew that Yichen was not that kind of person. That was why she dared to ask. Just when Yichen was going to reject her, Dai Shiyu spoke immediately. Don't worry. I can sleep on the floor. I definitely won't do anything to you. Yichen was speechless. You definitely won't do anything to me? You're saying that as if you can do anything to me. I'm a man. Do you think I'll be raped by you? I'm begging you, okay? Dai Shiyu begged again. Sure, sleep on the bed. I'll sleep on the floor. Yichen hesitated and nodded eventually. He walked over and pulled the bed sheet and blanket off after saying that. He placed them on the floor. Thank you, Mr. Yi, Dai Shiyu said with extreme gratitude. Subsequently, she returned to her room and walked in with the blanket and bed sheet. She looked again. She saw Yichen sitting on the floor with his legs crossed. After Dai Shiyu laid down obediently, she covered herself up tightly and popped her head out like a kangaroo. She was confused. Mr. Yi, is this what you call cultivation? One could say that she was curious about Yichen. Don't disturb me if there's nothing. He could not stop mumbling to himself. Yuhan, I didn't betray you. I didn't betray you. Daishiyu stuck her tongue out and said nothing more. However, she kept sneaking glances at Yi Chun with her beautiful eyes, including his eyes, nose, and mouth. She suddenly realized that although Yi Chun was not handsome, he was quite good-looking. He clearly had ordinary features, but he gave her a sense of security. Perhaps that was his inner temperament and temperament. It came from the inside out. She blushed again as she thought about it. If outsiders found out that she, the young mistress of the Dai family, was sharing a room with a man and was even staring at him like a love-struck fool, there would probably be a storm. Nobody knew how long had passed. After Dai Shiyu finally fell asleep, a loud wind came from outside all of a sudden. It woke her up immediately. Is it going to rain? At the same time, a bug flew out of Yi Chen's shoulder. Yi Chen opened his eyes suddenly. A playful gleam appeared in his eyes. It's finally here, after waiting for so long. Bang! The room door was blown open by the strong wind. Dai Shiyu shrieked in fear. Thud! 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 Dull footsteps came from the corridor outside. They were getting closer and closer, as if they were stepping on one's heart. P.S. Today's update for the 3rd chapter is over. Thank you for your support. Please give me your recommendation votes and monthly votes. They'll be more exciting in the future. Chapter 384. The footsteps outside were getting closer and closer, but they didn't come over. It was as if someone was pacing back and forth outside. Small say. Pa! The light in the room went out at that moment. The room was plunged into darkness. Daishiyu finally noticed that something was off. She got off the bed and walked to Yi Chun by instinct. Her extremely soft body stuck to Yi Chun tightly. Mr. Yi, I am scared. The softness on her chest was pressing against Yi Chen's arm. You're already here, yet you're still trying to play tricks on me. Yi Chen scoffed. He suddenly got up and walked to the window to lift the curtain. With the help of the moonlight, an extremely pale face appeared on the glass. It was so pale that it looked like a piece of pork that had been frozen for a long time. More importantly, the man was hanging upside down. Dressed in a black windbreaker, he hung upside down like a giant bat, with his eyes down and mouth up. Ghost. Dai Shiyu was almost scared to death when she saw it. Her voluptuous breasts were pressing against Yi Chen's arm. Although they were separated by her clothes, Yi Chen could feel their throbbing. Crack! The windows were pushed open. The figure flashed and appeared in the room. It was a white man. Even in the dark night, his face was still very white. The man glanced at Yi Chen and Dai Shiyu. Eventually, he fixed his gaze on Yi Chen and said in fluent Chinese, I'm curious. How did you find out that I was outside the window? Theoretically, any normal person would go out to see what was going on when there were footsteps in the corridor. However, Yi Chen did not do that. Instead, he lifted the curtain immediately. Apart from scaring ordinary people, this little trick of yours is nothing in my eyes. Yi Chen scoffed. His divine sense could cover a radius of 1 kilometer, and the footsteps in the corridor were not footsteps at all. To be precise, it was the sound of a group of bats gathering together and hanging upside down from the ceiling. The real guy was just outside the window, motionless, like a spider spying on its prey. He was very calm. Unfortunately, he encountered Yi Chen. Interesting. The white man grinned, licked his lips, and said, The count was right. You are not an ordinary person. This kind of bloody food is what I like. Are you a human or a ghost? Dai Shiyu hugged Yi Chen tightly as she looked at him with fear on her pretty face. Human? Ghost? The other party sneered and seemed to be disdainful. Lowly Eastern mortals, seeing that you are not far from death, I, Pasa, can tell you that I am a noble and great vampire. His voice fell. He suddenly opened his mouth, revealing 2 sharp and long fangs, and his pupils suddenly turned red. Dai Shiyu fell to the ground and said in a trembling voice, Vampires? Are you the legendary Western Blood Clan? At least you have some knowledge. Pasa laughed arrogantly. Lowly Eastern mortals, it's your good fortune to be able to see us. Kneel down, tremble, and worship us. Blood Clan? Yichen shook his head lightly as mockery appeared at the corner of his lips. You're just a bunch of stinky bats that can only hide in the dark. How are you noble and great? He had heard of the Blood Clan before. To put it simply, they were Western vampires that were very similar to Eastern zombies. The only difference was that Western vampires had their own consciousness, while Eastern zombies were walking corpses before they matured. They lived by instinct. Asterisk, asterisk. Paso was enraged as his fangs grew. How can an ant like you defile the Blood Clan? In the name of the Blood Clan, I sentence you to death for betraying me. Don't think that anyone will come to save you, because everyone in this hotel is asleep. The Blood Clan could control bats. To avoid alerting the enemy earlier, he had controlled the bats to bite the people. Those people had fallen asleep, and the bats had even destroyed the main power supply in the control room. As soon as he said that, he disappeared from where he was in a flash. In the next second, he appeared before Yi Chun and grabbed Yi Chun's neck with a cold, sharp claw. He swore to suck the blood of this Easter man before him dry. He would suck it slowly. He would make him die in extreme despair and pain. Mr. Yi, Daishiyu couldn't help but exclaim. Just when Pass's hand was about to touch Yi Chun moved and slapped him. Bang! With a scream, Passa was sent flying and smashed into the wall. His head spun 180 degrees. Motionless. Mr. Yi, he's dead. Daishiyu opened her beautiful eyes wide in disbelief. Although she knew that Yi Chun was powerful, she did not expect him to kill a Blood Clan member with a single slap. No, he's not dead. Yi Chun shook his head lightly. The next moment, Passa, who was on the ground, moved a little and slowly stood up. He held his head with his hand and turned it around forcefully. His head immediately returned to its normal position. Daishiyu's face was full of fear. In that situation, just now, if it were an ordinary person, they would have died a long time ago. However, not only did the other party not die, he could actually turn his head back. Not bad, not bad. Passa clapped. I can't believe that you can beat me up like this with a single slap. It seems like you're the so-called Eastern ancient martial artist. However, it's useless because we Blood Clansmen are immortal. Our natural enemies are spell masters. Without talismans, peachwood swords, silver bullets, and true fire, who can kill us? He could not help but smirk as he spoke to this point. Stupid Eastern ancient martial artist, I'll give you a chance now. As long as you're willing to be embraced by me and become my underling, I might spare your life. You must know that as soon as you're embraced by me, it means that you're immortal too. Oh, really? Yichen moved and threw a punch at him. Passa scoffed upon seeing that. Stupid. I've told you ancient martial artist techniques are useless against me. However, in the next second, his entire body froze. It was because Yi Chen's punch pierced through his heart directly and crushed his core. The Blood Clan did not have a heart, only a core. The core was the door of life. If it was destroyed, they would die. He stared blankly at Yi Chen. Before he was done speaking, he turned into sand and disappeared. It's unfortunate that you're just a small shrimp. The real big fish didn't come. Yi Chen shook his head lightly, feeling rather disappointed. Almost at the moment when Passa died, the bats that were hanging upside down on the ceiling in the hotel corridor fell to the ground at the same time. They were sleeping together. In a private villa in Hong Kong, there was a red coffin in the basement. Bats were crawling all over the corners of the coffin. Thud! One of them suddenly fell to the ground. Thud! The lid of the coffin was pushed open from the inside, and it fell hard onto the ground. A blond young man walked out naked. He did not even look at the naked lady lying in the coffin. Instead, he looked at the bat on the ground with a rather serious expression. Passa is dead. Interesting. He's a baron. Who can kill him without a spell master or a martial Dao master? Could that brat be a spell master or a martial Dao master? Perhaps they did it? P.S. There are 2 more chapters to the first chapter. I'll post them when I'm done. Chapter 385. In a hotel. As soon as Passa died, the lights in the rooms were switched on soon. Subsequently, the hotel manager went to every room to apologize. Many people noticed many bat carcasses in the corridor. However, since there were no surveillance cameras, The hotel merely thought that there was a bat nest in the hotel. They sent people to search, but to no avail. Since nothing serious had happened, they could only give up. Room 521. Yichin glanced at Dai Shiyu, who was hugging him tightly and rubbing her chest against him every now and then. His expression was rather unnatural. "Can you let go of me now?" "Ah!" Dai Shiyu screamed. She just realized that what she was doing was too intimate. She let go of his arm immediately while blushing and said while still recovering from the shock, "Mr. Yi, is that blood tribe dead?" "He couldn't be deader than dead." Yichin chuckled softly. How could he not be dead after he punched him in the heart? Phew! Dai Shiyu heaved a heavy sigh of relief. She had just finished showering and was only wearing a bathrobe. Perhaps it was because of the fright from before. The collar of her chest had been undone, revealing her deep snow-white skin. Coupled with the fact that she was sweating a lot, the room was filled with a woman's body fragrance and the smell of sweat. The smell happened to enter Yichin's nose. Yichin's expression froze, and he was a little emotional. Although he had lived for thousands of years and prided himself on his strong willpower, he could not hold it in anymore. "All right, go back to bed. Everything's fine now." Yichin took a deep breath in and said after getting rid of the distracting thoughts in his head. "No." Dai Shiyu shook her head without even thinking about it. Instead, she hugged Yichin's arm again. "No, I'm scared. I want to sleep on the floor with you." She had enough shocks tonight. She only felt safe when she was with Yichin now. "You want to sleep with me?" The corner of Yichin's lips twitched slightly. He struggled out of her grip and got off the bed. "Since you like to sleep on the floor, I'll sleep on the bed." As soon as he laid down, a soft body squeezed into the bed. A soft and delicate body once again squeezed into the quilt like a lazy kitten. "Get off," Yichin said coldly. "Otherwise, I'll throw you off." Even if he was cold-blooded to his enemies. However, he felt helpless facing Dai Shiyu at the moment. After all, she did not offend him, and he could not attack her. If he accepted it, he would feel sorry for Su Yuhan. Seeing that he was really enraged, Dai Shiyu stuck her tongue out and got off the bed while biting her lip pitifully. She fell asleep, facing Yichin. Yichin turned around with his back, facing her. He seemed to be in deep thought. Under the detection of his divine sense, he could sense two powerful auras gradually moving further away from the hotel. The two auras had been watching from the outside for a long time. Meanwhile, in a villa in the Yuanlong district of Hong Kong, Shen Xingye's hand froze. "You mean that brat killed a vampire viscount?" His expression changed several times before he said again, "It seems that I have underestimated him. No wonder he could attract Bess's attention. Come back first." On the Thunder Frog cruise, young Master Lei looked at the young man, standing at the side, with a surprised look on his face. "Interesting, this is really interesting. To think that you killed William's subordinate." He got up and walked to the window, smiling faintly. "I don't care who you are. I just hope that you won't get in my way. Otherwise, you'll be dead. Apart from Shen Xingye and his son, nobody in the entire Hong Kong can stop me. Nobody." The next day, Dai Shiyu tiptoed back to her room with her blanket in her arms as soon as the sun rose. After calling Wang Long to confirm the auction at night, Yichin stayed in his room almost the entire day. For him, a dozen or so hours was nothing more than a blink of an eye in the midst of cultivation. Soon night fell. The auction finally arrived. Yichin received a call from Wang Long just when the sky turned dark. He had driven the car to the hotel entrance. As soon as Yichin walked out of the room, Dai Shiyu, who was sitting across him, walked out at the same time. She said with her eyes wide open, "Mr. Yi, are you going to the auction? Can you bring me along?" She added, "Don't worry. I won't cause you any trouble." After what happened last night, she thought it would be safer for her to go to the auction without Yichin. "Up to you," Yichin said and went downstairs. As expected, he saw a Lincoln Stretch limousine parked by the road with Wang Long standing outside. Wang Long was stunned at first when he saw Yichin walking out of the hotel with Dai Shiyu. He then revealed an experienced smile. "Mr. Yi, it's almost time. Let's go." Yichin did not care about his stare and thoughts at all. He got into the back seat of the Lincoln limousine directly. Dai Shiyu, on the other hand, could not stand his stare. She could not help but explain while blushing, "There's nothing going on between us. Don't overthink." I understand, Wang Long said while chuckling. It would have been better if she did not explain. The more she explained, the more Wang Long was sure of his speculation. He did not think much of it. Nobody could avoid love. On the contrary, he thought it was normal for a powerhouse like Yi Chun, who was young and had 10 women, let alone one. The car finally arrived at the underground parking garage of an extremely luxuriously decorated building in Central. It looked very magnificent on the outside. "We're here, Mr. Yi." Wang Long opened the car door for Yi Chun. At that moment, a Ferrari drove over as well. A man and a lady walked out of the car. They were William and Fong Mi. The moment he saw Fong Mi, he was stunned. Yi Chun shook his head lightly. He did not expect Fong Mi to look like this in just a day. Her face was extremely pale, and there was no color in it at all. Then she contacted William, who was beside her. It was obvious that Fong Mi was the embrace. However, looking at how she looked like she was in love, it was obvious that she did not know about it. Meanwhile, Fong Mi saw Yi Chun in the car. She walked over and said coldly, "Yi Chun, have you seen Fong Hao?" She spent the entire day with William. William was not only handsome, but he also knew how to be romantic and win the hearts of girls. In just one day, Fong Mi had a candlelit dinner with him, watched a movie, and even visited his villa. Then, everything happened naturally between the two of them. Fong Mi felt blissful and intoxicated. The only bad thing was that she felt that her body seemed to have changed and become much stronger. This was reflected in her eyesight, hearing, and strength. Moreover, she could not look at the sun. William explained that she was sick and would recover in a few days. She did not think much about it. At the same time, she received a call from the Fong family saying that Fong Hao had gone missing. Not only could they not find him, but they could not contact him either. That was why she asked that when she saw Yi Chun. To her, Fong Hao had always been at odds with Yi Chun. If something really happened to him, Yi Chun would be the prime suspect. Yi Chun did not bother to answer her question. He walked to the elevator after getting out of the car. Fong Mi did not expect him to ignore her. She was furious. "Yi, what's with your attitude? Do you really think that you can look down on me just because you're capable?" She did not notice that William, who was next to her, could not stop looking at Yi Chun leaving. There was a faint glint in his eyes. P.S. The second update. My dog bit off the internet cable and my phone's data cable. I can't connect to the internet now, and my phone is out of battery. I can't finish the third chapter. I'll update the next chapter for now. Chapter 386. As soon as Yi Chun was done speaking, "No!" Fong Hao had a drastic change of expression. He turned around and charged at the door as he growled. However, Yi Chun blocked his way in a flash in the next second. He ran in the opposite direction again, but Yi Chun appeared before him like a specter. Plop! Fong Hao looked like he had just seen a ghost. He knelt hard onto the ground and said while his lips were shaking, "Yi Chun, no, Mr. Yi. Please let me go." Until now, he finally understood that Yi Chun was no ordinary person. Otherwise, he would not have been so terrifying. No wonder he could defeat Yin Tai. No wonder Wang Long was so respectful to him. "Give me a reason not to kill you." Yi Chun looked at him in a condescending manner. "I can be your dog." Fong Hao kowtowed like he was pounding garlic. "I can give you anything you want, including the woman on the bed. I've never touched her." Bang. However, he turned into a ball of flame before he was done speaking. He then turned into ashes. "You're unrepentant. You deserve to die." Yi Chun shook his head lightly and lifted his head to look at Dai Shiyu, who was on the bed. Fear filled Dai Shiyu's eyes after witnessing Yi Chun kill Fong Hao like a god. She could not help but turn pale when she saw Yi Chun stare. She thought Yi Chun was lusting after her. However, she realized that she did not reject him. Instead, she had an indescribable anticipation. It was a shameful mentality. Yi Chun did not walk over. Instead, he flicked his finger and spiritual energy shot into her body. He waved his arm, and a hotel bathrobe flew over to wrap her in it. "I've removed the drug for you." After saying that, he closed the door and walked out of Dai Shiyu's room, returning to his own room. Is he leaving just like that? Dai Shiyu was slightly stunned. She had been afraid that Yi Chun would take advantage of her when she was weak. However, she could not accept it after Yi Chun left. It's better to be with someone like Mr. Yi than to be raped by Fong Hao, right? Such a thought popped into her head all of a sudden. She dismissed the thought immediately and buried her head into the cup. Her pretty face was flushed. Sob, why would I have such a thought? It's so embarrassing. In room 521, Yichen closed the door and took out his phone to call Yuhan and his daughter. Subsequently, he sat on the bed with his legs crossed and said in deep thought, "The auction will begin tomorrow night. I must get the 9-section soul herb. Whoever stops me will die. It's just that I killed old Master Gu's in-laws. If he finds out the truth, he'll probably vomit blood." Yichen shook his head lightly and closed his eyes to begin cultivating. As for killing Fong Hao, he had no regrets, because Fong Hao's words touched his bottom line. Even if Fong Hao's words were directed at Dai Shiyu, he still couldn't tolerate it. At this moment, someone knocked on the door. "Mr. Yi, are you asleep?" Yichen opened his divine consciousness and scanned the place. He noticed Dai Shiyu standing at the door in a bathrobe. She bit her lip and would occasionally look at the corridor behind her in fear. "What's up?" Yi-chan frowned slightly. It would not be nice for a man and a woman to be alone in a room in the middle of the night to spread. Moreover, Su Yuhan had reminded him time and time again not to flirt with other women before he left. Can I come in and talk?" Dai Shiyu said weakly. Eventually, Yichen got off the bed and opened the door. At that moment, Dai Shiyu rushed in immediately. It was too late when he wanted to stop her. He could only say impatiently, "Tell me, why are you looking for me? How can I sleep in your room for the night?" Dai Shiyu held her head down, her voice as soft as a mosquito's. Yi-chun was stunned. Dai Shiyu explained immediately, seeming to have noticed the ambiguity in her words. "Don't misunderstand me. What I mean is that I don't dare to sleep in the room alone. So, she was really scared when Fong Hao tried to rape her earlier. Moreover, Fong Hao died in that room. Although there was nothing left of him, girls would always be afraid of that." Eventually, fear took over her restraint. Theoretically, she and Yi-chun were not a couple, and they had not known each other for long. It was not safe for them to sleep in the same room. However, judging from how Yi-chun did not rape her earlier, she knew that Yi-chun was not that kind of person. That was why she dared to ask. Just when Yi-chun was going to reject her, Dai Shiyu spoke immediately. "Don't worry. I could sleep on the floor. I definitely won't do anything to you." Yi-chun was speechless. "You definitely won't do anything to me? You're saying that as if you can do anything to me. I'm a man. Do you think I'll be raped by you? I'm begging you, okay?" Dai Shiyu begged again. "Sure, sleep on the bed. I'll sleep on the floor." Yi-chun hesitated and nodded eventually. He walked over and pulled the bedsheet and blanket off after saying that. He placed them on the floor. "Thank you, Mr. Yi," Dai Shiyu said with extreme gratitude. Subsequently, she returned to her room and walked in with the blanket and bedsheet. She looked again. She saw Yi-chun sitting on the floor with his legs crossed. After Dai Shiyu laid down obediently, she covered herself up tightly and popped her head out like a kangaroo. She was confused. "Mr. Yi, is this what you call cultivation?" One could say that she was curious about Yi-chun. "Don't disturb me if there's nothing." He could not stop mumbling to himself. "Yuhan, I didn't betray you. I didn't betray you." Dai Shiyu stuck her tongue out and said nothing more. However, she kept sneaking glances at Yi-chun with her beautiful eyes, including his eyes, nose, and mouth. She suddenly realized that although Yi-chun was not handsome, he was quite good-looking. He clearly had ordinary features, but he gave her a sense of security. Perhaps that was his inner temperament and temperament. It came from the inside out. She blushed again as she thought about it. If outsiders found out that she, the young mistress of the Dai family, was sharing a room with a man and was even staring at him like a love-struck fool, there would probably be a storm. Nobody knew how long had passed. After Dai Shiyu finally fell asleep, a loud wind came from outside all of a sudden. It woke her up immediately. "Is it going to rain?" At the same time, a bug flew out of Yi-chun's shoulder. Yi-chun opened his eyes suddenly. A playful gleam appeared in his eyes. "It's finally here after waiting for so long." Bang! The room door was blown open by the strong wind. Dai Shiyu shrieked in fear. Thud! 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 Dull footsteps came from the corridor outside. They were getting closer and closer, as if they were stepping on one's heart. P.S. Today's update for the third chapter is over. Thank you for your support. Please give me your recommendation votes and monthly votes. They'll be more exciting in the future. Chapter 387. The crowd was stunned as soon as the voice was heard. Subsequently, they looked at one of the private rooms on the third floor in disbelief. They were secretly shocked. Anyone who could sit there had a terrifying background. They could not believe that these people were interested in the Thousand Spirit Herb too. Yichen squinted, just when he was going to find out who was bidding against him. Laughter came from the private room again. I'm really sorry, Mr. Yi. I, Yoshiko, am interested in it too. Are you mad at me? It was none other than Chiba Yoshiko who spoke. Yichen came to a realization and said while shaking his head, Of course not. The VIP in room number 3 has bid 5 million. Is there anyone who's bidding higher than her? The auctioneer on the stage repeated, but he was looking at Yi-chan. To him, Yi-chan was the only one who would bid. The rest were almost the same. They hoped that Yi-chan would continue bidding and compete with the other party. However, Yi-chan said nothing. Someone took a good look at Yi-chan. Noticing that he was dressed casually, he smirked in a sarcastic manner. Don't tell me this brat doesn't have enough money? That's possible. Perhaps he was just randomly bidding 2 million earlier. Many of them nodded in agreement with disdain written all over their faces. Mr. Yi, don't you have enough money? Dai Shiyu, who was standing aside, thought about it and took out a platinum card. She passed it to him and said, There's 10 million in there. Take it if you don't have enough. She did not mention whether she was borrowing it or giving it to him. She just wanted to repay Yi-chan in a roundabout way. No need. Yi-chan smiled calmly. Nobody can take what I want away from me. Even if they do, I can get it back. He had no idea how much he had at the moment. However, he had a cosmetics company behind him, as well as organizations like the Muron clan in Ganjo and the Spiritual Medicine Mountain. His value would not be lower than Chiba Yoshiko, who came from the Japanese consortium. However, Chiba Yoshiko was just trying to disgust him. Although he could bid for the 1,000 Spirit Herb, because of his anger, the auction house would be the one who would benefit from it. The auctioneer was extremely disappointed to see that Yi-chan was no longer bidding. He decided, going thrice. Congratulations to the VIP in room number 3 for getting the 1,000 Spirit Herb. Subsequently, he spoke again. The next item is still a herb, but this herb is extraordinary. With that, he clapped his hands, and a staff member immediately carried a tray covered with a red cloth onto the stage. Yi-chan scanned with his divine consciousness and could not help but reveal joy on his face. It really was the 9-section soulgrass. As the red cloth was removed, a plant that was stuck in a glass bottle came into view. The plant was about the length of a chopstick and had 9 segments like bamboo. From the stem to the leaves, it was black as if it had been dyed with ink. At that moment, Chiba Yoshiko, who was in the 3rd private room on the 3rd floor of the auction house, was overjoyed. She stood up excitedly and stared at it. No, Koen, it's really a ghost chrysanthemum. You must get it, you must. Room 4. A fair-skinned young man with a pair of blue eyes and a high nose showed a hint of interest in his eyes. He stretched out his hand and waved at the bottle of red wine 2 meters away. The bottle flew into his hand automatically. Is this the so-called holy item in the eyes of the Japanese on Myojis? I Marwa want this. In private room number 6, a middle-aged woman dressed in red sat on the sofa. She looked to be in her 30s, but her skin was as tender as white jade. Her long hair was the color of wine, and if one looked closely, one would notice that there was a faint flame burning in her eyes. I can't believe that I can see such a treasure apart from the foreign fragment. Nobody can compete with me. Aches. She stretched her arm out and ran her fingers through her long hair. Flames were growing in her hair like fire snakes flicking their tongues. As the red cloth was removed, everyone in the private rooms on the 3rd floor had a burning desire in their eyes. Meanwhile, the auctioneer said while smiling on the 1st floor, Everyone, this item is called the Ghost Chrysanthemum. It's helpful for one's spiritual power, especially for spell masters. The starting price is 10 million. and each increment must be no less than 500,000. Ghost chrysanthemum? What's that? How can this be worth 10 million? Are you kidding us? At that moment, the people were in an uproar. They were whispering to each other, feeling confused. It was their first time hearing about such an item. Even if it's made of gold, it won't be worth 10 million, right? Your auction house must be crazy about money. Facing the people's sneers, the auctioneer smiled again and said, "What if I tell everyone that this item was obtained from Japan by the leader of the southern sect, Master Shun? Moreover, it was appraised by Master Shun and it's helpful for spellmasters." Everyone was shocked when they heard that. Someone stood up and said in shock, "Was it really appraised by Master Shun?" "Of course." The auctioneer nodded. "We wouldn't joke about Master Shun. 11 million. Someone made a bid as soon as the auctioneer finished speaking. 15 million. 20 million. 22 million. In just a few minutes, the item that everyone had been disdainful of just now attracted countless people to bid on it. The price soared to 50 million. Master Shun. Those 3 words alone were enough to make everyone look up to him. It was because he was the leader of the Southern Sect in Hong Kong's spell world. He was also a legend in Hong Kong's spell world. To put it bluntly, even if he said that it was a pile of dog poop, no one would doubt it. The atmosphere of the auction was pushed to the climax. Even the auction house was shocked. They did not expect the name Master Shun to have such a great influence. The price finally stopped at 70 million. The auctioneer smiled and said, "Guest number 49 has bid 70 million going once. Is there anyone who wants to bid higher than him?" However, no one responded. 70 million was a lot. 70 million going twice, 70 million going thrice. The auctioneer knocked the hammer and was about to make the final call. A voice came from room number 3 on the 3rd floor of the auction house. 80 million. Everyone's heart skipped a beat. The real big shots were making their move. Room number 4 made a bid. 90 million. 100 million. Room number 6 made a bid. The price soared to 800 million. It was even more extravagant than before. Everyone was completely dumbfounded. That was 800 million. 800 million was enough to buy any mansion in Hong Kong. In room number 3, Chiba Yoshiko's face was solemn. Although she knew that the competition for the ghost chrysanthemum would be fierce, she did not expect it to be this intense. With the wealth she had brought, she could totally continue the competition. However, when she thought of the final item, she felt a little tired. She picked up the phone and called room number 4. After a while, she looked satisfied. After paying a price, the other people in the other rooms had given up on the competition. As far as she was concerned, as long as they gave up, the other people in the other rooms were not qualified to compete with her. At the same time, the auctioneer suppressed his excitement and said, "The guest in room number 3 made an offer of 800 million. Is there anyone who wants to bid higher than her?" A silence fell over the auction house. What a joke. 800 million? They didn't have 800 million. Even if they did, they wouldn't compete. Chiba Yoshiko saw all of this. Just when she thought the outcome had been decided, a voice suddenly rang out. A faint voice came up. 1 billion. The whole place was dead silent. Chapter 388. In the hotel, as soon as Pasa died, the lights in the rooms were switched on. Subsequently, the hotel manager went to every room to apologize. Many people found many bat carcasses in the corridor. However, since there were no surveillance cameras, the hotel merely thought that there was a bat nest in the hotel. They sent people to search, but to no avail. Since nothing serious had happened, they could only give up. In room 521, Yichin glanced at Dai Shiyu, who was hugging him tightly and rubbing her chest against him every now and then. He looked rather unnatural. "Can you let go of me now?" "Ah!" Dai Shiyu screamed. She just realized that what she was doing was too intimate. She let go of his arm immediately while blushing and said while still recovering from the shock, "Mr. Yi, is that blood tribe dead?" "He couldn't be deader than dead." Yichin chuckled softly. How could he not be dead after he punched him in the heart? Phew! Dai Shiyu heaved a heavy sigh of relief. She had just finished showering and was only wearing a bathrobe. Perhaps it was because of the fright from before. The collar of her chest had been undone, revealing her deep snow-white skin. Coupled with the fact that she was sweating, The room was filled with a woman's body fragrance and the smell of sweat. Coincidentally, the smell entered Yi Chen's nose. Yi Chen's expression froze, and he was a little emotional. Although he had lived for thousands of years and prided himself on his strong willpower, he could not hold it in anymore. "All right, go back to bed. Everything's fine now." Yi Chen took a deep breath in and said after getting rid of the distracting thoughts in his head. "No." Dai Shiyu shook her head without even thinking about it. Instead, she hugged Yi Chen's arm again. "No, I'm scared. I want to sleep on the floor with you." She'd had enough shocks tonight. She only felt safe when she was with Yi Chen now. "You want to sleep with me?" The corner of Yi Chen's lips twitched slightly. He struggled out of her grip and got off the bed. "Since you like to sleep on the floor, I'll sleep on the bed." As soon as he laid down, a soft body squeezed into the bed. A soft and delicate body once again squeezed into the quilt like a lazy kitten. "Get off," Yi Chen said coldly. "Otherwise, I'll throw you off." Even if he was cold-blooded to his enemies. However, he felt helpless facing Dai Shiyu at the moment. After all, she did not offend him, and he could not attack her. If he accepted it, he would feel sorry for Su Yuhan. Seeing that he was really enraged, Dai Shiyu stuck her tongue out and got off the bed while biting her lip pitifully. She fell asleep facing Yi Chen. Yi Chen turned around with his back facing her. He seemed to be in deep thought. Under the detection of his divine sense, he could sense two powerful auras gradually moving further away from the hotel. The two auras had been watching from the outside for a long time. Meanwhile, in a villa in the Yuanlong district of Hong Kong, Shen Xingye's hand froze. "You mean that Brat killed a vampire viscount?" His expression changed a few times before he said again, "Looks like I've underestimated him. No wonder he could attract Beth's attention. Come back first." On the Thunder Frog cruise, young Master Lei looked at the young man, standing at the side, with a surprised look on his face. "Interesting, this is really interesting. To think that you killed William's subordinate." He got up and walked to the window, smiling faintly. "I don't care who you are. I just hope that you won't get in my way. Otherwise, you'll be dead. Apart from Shen Xingye and his son, nobody in the entire Hong Kong can stop me. Nobody." The next day, Dai Shiyu tiptoed back to her room with her blanket in her arms as soon as the sun rose. After calling Wang Long to confirm the auction at night, Yi Chen stayed in his room almost the entire day. For him, a dozen or so hours was nothing more than a blink of an eye in the midst of cultivation. Soon night fell. The auction finally arrived. Yi Chen received a call from Wang Long just when the sky turned dark. He had driven the car to the hotel entrance. Just when Yi Chen walked out of the room, Dai Shiyu, who was sitting across him, walked out at the same time. She said with her eyes wide open, "Mr. Yi, are you going to the auction? Can you bring me along?" She added, "Don't worry. I won't cause you any trouble." After what happened last night, she thought it would be safer for her to go to the auction without Yi Chen. "Up to you," Yi Chen said and went downstairs. As expected, he saw a Lincoln stretch limousine parked by the road with Wang Long standing outside. Wang Long was stunned at first when he saw Yi Chen walking out of the hotel with Dai Shiyu. Then, he revealed an experienced smile. "Mr. Yi, it's almost time. Let's go." Yi Chen did not care about his stare and thoughts at all. He got into the back seat of the Lincoln limousine directly. Dai Shiyu, on the other hand, could not stand his stare. She could not help but explain while blushing. "There's nothing between us. Don't overthink." I understand," Wang Long said while chuckling. It would have been better if she did not explain. The more she explained, the more Wang Long was sure of his speculation. He did not think much of it. Nobody could avoid love. On the contrary, he thought it was normal for a powerhouse like Yi Chen, who was young and had 10 women, let alone one. The car finally arrived at the underground parking garage of an extremely luxuriously decorated building in Central. It looked very magnificent on the outside. "We're here, Mr. Yi." Wang Long opened the car door for Yi Chen. At that moment, a Ferrari drove over as well. A man and a lady walked out of the car. They were William and Fong Mi. The moment he saw Fong Mi, he was stunned. Yi Chen shook his head lightly. He did not expect Fong Mi to look like this in just a day. Her face was extremely pale, and there was no color in it at all. Then she contacted William, who was beside her, It was obvious that Fong Mi was the embrace. However, looking at how she seemed to be in love, it was obvious that she did not know about it yet. Meanwhile, Fong Mi saw Yi Chen in the car. She walked over and said coldly, "Yi Chen, have you seen Fong Hao?" She spent the entire day with William. William was not only handsome, but he also knew how to be romantic and win the hearts of girls. In just one day, Fong Mi had a candlelit dinner with him, watched a movie, and even visited his villa. Then, everything happened naturally between the two of them. Fong Mi felt blissful and intoxicated. The only bad thing was that she felt that her body seemed to have changed and become much stronger. This was reflected in her eyesight, hearing, and strength. Moreover, she could not look at the sun. William explained that she was sick and would recover in a few days. She did not think much about it. At the same time, she received a call from the Fong family saying that Fong Hao had gone missing. Not only could they not find him, but they could not contact him either. That was why she asked that when she saw Yi Chen. To her, Fong Hao had always been at odds with Yi Chen. If something really happened to him, Yi Chen would be the prime suspect. Yi Chen did not bother to answer her question. He walked to the elevator after getting out of the car. Fong Mi did not expect him to ignore her. She was furious. "Yi, what's with your attitude? Do you really think that you can look down on me just because you're capable?" She did not notice that William, who was next to her, could not stop looking at Yi Chen leaving. There was a faint glint in his eyes. P.S. The second update. My dog bit off the internet cable and my phone's data cable. I can't connect to the internet now, and my phone is out of battery. I can't finish the third chapter. I'll update the next chapter for now.